Ladies, gents, and gentle ladies, and gentle, whatever. Andy here, another Christmas live stream for those of you who want a little bit of free coaching, maybe want to hang out, say hello, share your wins, all of that. I'll be honest, I have worn this like Santa suit every day now for the last 2 weeks. It's starting to smell a little bit. I think I need to put it in the washing machine. It smells a bit sweaty, but I'm worried that the buttons will come off, so maybe I'll give it a gentle hand wash. And now that is getting the useless information that you didn't need to hear out of the way. I want to tell a little bit of a story. And by the way, Cam may or may not come to the stream today. We shall see. He might be here, he might not. But I want to tell a little story of something that happened this morning that was a really interesting story and a really nice thing that I'm glad happened. So I was going for a walk at about 5 a.m. in the morning, and I was recording Imi, my girlfriend, a voice message. And, I had my little phone. I'm just walking, recording her a voice message. And I can hear this guy behind me, maybe, 100 meters, like 200, 300 feet behind me, just swearing and yelling. And I assume, yeah, he might just be a homeless guy or a guy going through some mental health struggles or something. He's like swearing, yelling. It's Sunday today, I think. No, it's Monday today, isn't it? So maybe he had a big weekend, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of ignore him. I'm walking to 7-Eleven convenience store to buy a little drink, and I can hear him going off, going crazy, yelling, all of that stuff. I get to 7-Eleven, and I don't know what they're like in all of your countries, but 7-Eleven here, they have the doors locked early in the morning, and the person has to push a button to open the door for you to come in. So I'm standing outside, and the guy's now standing a couple of feet from me, maybe a couple of meters from me, and just swearing and talking about me. And sort of the hair on the back of my neck starts, standing up, the goosebumps, because it's clear he's literally talking about me. He's like, fucking faggot on his fucking phone. Like, who's this fucking cunt? Like, swearing. And a lot of the time you can just sort of ignore that. But at the same time, a lot of homeless people that I've talked to and a lot of people who are struggling with mental health issues talk about what it's like to literally just be ignored and go a lot of your life being ignored. And fair enough. Yeah, most people are going to ignore you if you're literally swearing and going off and being aggressive in your words. Yeah, most people are going to not look at you because they're scared. Fair enough. Even I had that sort of like hair on the back of my neck. But I let him say it for a couple of seconds while we're standing there outside the 7-Eleven. And then at some point, I'm like, okay, maybe it would be a kindness to him. It would be kind to him to at least acknowledge him and see if he's okay. So I kind of turn towards him, and he looks really aggressive and angry. He's missing some teeth and all of that sort of stuff. And so I say, are you okay, dude? And he's like, who you fucking faggot on your fucking phone? You're a fucking faggot. And for whatever reason, the words in my head popped in my head to just say, and I let them come out. You know what? I might be a faggot. I don't know why, but so that's what I said. And that kind of confused him for a little bit. I think that really confused him, especially if you're being aggressive and yelling at someone. You probably expect them to yell back, but you're probably not expecting, yeah, I might be a faggot in a very peaceful, calm voice as well. But he kept swearing a little bit. He's like, who the fuck were you on the phone to? And I was like, oh, I was on the phone to my girlfriend. And he's like, no, you fucking weren't. You're a fucking liar. And I was like, no, it's definitely my girlfriend. He's like, you fucking swearing. By this point, 7-Eleven opens. We go inside, and he goes to get a coffee. And he's still kind of swearing and stuff. I grab my drink. I can just see that this guy's going through some not nice stuff. You're obviously not having a nice day if you're literally swearing at people and yelling, and it's early in the morning and all of that. So I gently say to him, hey man, are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you? And I think that helped him a little bit, but he was still swearing, but I think that helped a little bit. And he was like, no, yeah, it's fine. And I was like, man, I can see you're having a bad day. I've had lots of bad days too, believe me. I promise everything's going to be okay. I know it doesn't feel like that, but I promise it will be. And he was like, you fucking promise. He's like a little bit less aggressive now, but still swearing a lot. And so I buy my drink. I say to the guy serving me, I'm like, are you okay with him in here? Do you want me to stay just to make sure everything's okay? And he's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's early in the morning. There's probably lots of people like that. And I'm like, do you want me to wait outside and see if you're okay? And he's like, I'm fine. I promise it's cool. Thank you. So I leave. And the point I'm telling you all this story is when I was walking home, as I'm walking home, I then recorded another voice message for Emmy because she's traveling at the moment and we leave each other voice messages. And I just talked through and thought through how goddamn grateful I am for my own mental health. I've been through moments where I have struggled with mental health. During lockdowns and all the COVID stuff, yeah, there were a couple of people that I literally swore at and yelled at in public because I chose not to wear a mask. I chose not to get vaccinated. I'd done all the research on all of that, blah, blah, blah. And there were quite a few people who got very aggressive towards me, even though I was staying miles away from them, no interest in making them feel uncomfortable. There were quite a few people that were like quite aggressive. And I, in those moments, because my mental health wasn't very good, just like most people's wasn't during lockdowns because everyone was afraid and everyone was pumping out fear on the TV and the news 24/7, blah, blah, blah. I yelled at a few people. I told a few people to fuck off. I said, like, go fuck yourself. You're a cunt. Like, I was not kind to people. And so I know what it's like to struggle with mental health. I was obviously depressed and suicidal for like 8 or 9 years, from like 14 to, 2021. And I know what all that feels like. I really, really, really do. And so, yeah, I recorded this voice message for Emmy, basically saying, I'm super grateful. I'm grateful for all of the things that we understand and all the resources that we have and all the books that we've read and all of you being here. I literally talked about how grateful I am for all of you and all the beautiful things that we have in our life. I'm grateful for Cam. Cam, I can see that you're here. I'll add you in a second, Cam. I'm just finishing a quick story. But I even said to Emmy, I'm super grateful for Cam. And I literally said, think how many times Cam has helped us and been there for us and listened to me and like helped to the business and just been there. And a lot of people don't have that. And it made me super, super, super grateful. And I ultimately said to Emmy, I'm really glad that this guy yelled at me and called me a faggot and went off and all of that. Like, I'm really, really, really glad that that happened because it helped me reflect on my life and all the things I'm grateful for. And I say that to all of you because there's a couple of guys in the coaching group right now that Cam would know who both at the same time had some negative reactions from people. One was from a girl that he walked up to and hit on, and she was like, you fuck off. And that kind of threw him off a little bit. This during the daytime, walked up to a woman, hi, you're really pretty. And she's like, fuck off. And yeah, that can be very confronting. And another is from a workmate who was very drunk at a party and yelled some abusive stuff in public in front of a lot of people. And he was very thrown off by that. And I want to sort of gently point out that if we're able to reframe that stuff and look for the positives in it, which yes, can be a fucking challenge, I will be the first to say that, then we start walking around feeling grateful for everything. And we no longer fear rejection. We no longer feel like, what if someone tells me to fuck off? You'll be like, someone could tell me to fuck off. And then that will be a great opportunity for me to sit there and think about how grateful I am for my own mental health. That person's obviously going through some fucking tough shit. If they're telling a stranger to fuck off or being mean to someone, I'm glad that my life is okay right now, that I'm not in that situation. So even the stuff that we're tempted to say is bad, like rejection, or especially a harsh rejection, can ultimately be a beautiful thing if you can flip it around. So, story over. Let's add Cam. Hi, Cam. I got abused by a guy that might have been homeless and was going through some mental health issues. That's the story to catch you up.
For everyone, I also abused Andy in chat just now, so I'm adding
Did
to
you?
this.
Where?
Do you want to read out? Do you want to read out the private chat?
Holy shit! He said, I just want you to know that you're a really good friend and I respect you and I love you, and everyone in the chat I love and respect as well. That's what he wrote to me.
No,
He definitely didn't.
No, it says gay. It says let me in, you gay man, gay boy. I appreciate how gay you are, which is a response when you said
You are the second person to call me gay today.
No, he called you a fag. Different. Why did he call you a cigarette? I don't get why he would call you a cigarette randomly. That makes no sense.
Faggot. He called me a faggot. Anyway, welcome.
I've told this story before. I said I did say the word fag really loudly in LA, referring to a cigarette, and I didn't get abuse, but someone wanted to say something. They were like looking at me like, get the fuck out of this bar. That was funny. So how is everyone today? You only have you just wasted I was going to tell you I've only got 20 minutes extra or whatever now, and you spent 5 of those monologuing and not letting me into the stream.
Well, you're here now. That's all that matters. Phoenix says
Who's
he's
here?
got
I
a
haven't seen-
meetup at 1.
Who's in chat? Okay, who's in chat? Let's have a look. Who do I know?
Phoenix
I know
is in
Dr.
chat.
Chad. I know Phoenix.
Dr. Chad. You know this
Phoenix
guy,
had a weekly
Andy Wells.
Dungeons and Dragons game. Weekly
how cool
Dungeons
is
and
that? How
Dragons.
dope is that?
Nice. 1v1 the
Dope, dude.
DM.
You know what? Okay, pause here. Dungeons and Dragons often cops a lot of like flack from like normal people, from mainstream, because they're like, it's a nerdy fucking game. But for people that are like ultimately nerdy and very shy and socially awkward, Dungeons and Dragons is like one of the most beautiful ways for them to actually fucking socialize. Like Dungeons and Dragons is fucking great.
Yeah,
I
I'd
say that
recommend it
because
to
I like
everybody.
Dungeons and Dragons.
I feel like you haven't played a game though.
I've never played a game properly, but I have
You play
watched so many
Baldur's
fucking
Gate.
podcasts about it, and I am so obsessed with Baldur's Gate 3. I have watched so many like actual games that people like play on YouTube. Like
I feel like it's the perfect thing for it's the perfect podcast filling game. Like it really, really lends itself to podcasting because you can make these like 2-hour play sessions. You can have there's someone I follow that I think they have like 600 episodes. It's not even that famous. Like I started listening to it. I started listening to D&D podcasts when I was working a farm job in Australia because it was like a long fucking day of like 10-hour day fucking plucking, avocados. And the way to get through it was just I would play these super long D&D sessions, podcast by podcast. And it was just like, it was like one of those things where I could guarantee there'd be like a 4-hour podcast. And I could just listen to 2 sessions. It would get me through the whole day.
Yeah.
It was great. It's really, really good for that. I'd recommend it for flights too. If you have a D&D podcast you like, it gets you through flights so easy.
It's basically fantasy fiction. You're just listening to a fantasy book. It's like Harry Potter or some shit. But like,
yeah, Blue Note.
live.
Sorry, Blue Note. I'm guessing you're younger. Like Andy and I. Like Andy's basically Gen X. Like he grew up in the era where being a nerd was a bad thing. Now it's not. Like you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to give up. You're gonna have to like accept some of us. Some of us were like teenagers in an era where it wasn't actually acceptable to be a loser. I say loser. I didn't mean it like that. I'd be like, you know what I mean? But like so now, kids now grow up and they can. Kids now grow up and they can do whatever the fuck they want, and like they're just allowed to. When I was a Warhammer nerd when I was like 12 years old, I actually got bullied for that shit. So any Gen Zers can shut the fuck up about what's cool and what isn't. You didn't go through anything. Sorry, I'm not projecting here at all.
Very aggressive.
Blue Note. Okay, you're older than us. Then you know what it was like being a nerd when you were younger, mate. Come on, don't do this shit. Some of us have like repressed trauma from this shit. Some of us got genuinely like bullied for this stuff, man. Side with us against these young people.
I don't condone any of Cam's aggressive words right now, but I respect his right to say them. Expert Shit Clapper says, hello there. Well, hello there, my friend. Also, Expert Shit Clapper, I've never asked, is that you in your picture? Like, or is that just some random picture? Either way, good job. Phoenix is talking about Dungeons and Dragons in the actual chat, or he was earlier. So reading through that, sounds like he had fun. 24 people in the meetup. That's cool. Oh, and you're the only one that shows up. Though that happens a lot. Hey, lots of the meetups that I would go to, like 15 people would RSVP saying, I'm going to go. And then at least half of them don't show up. That's just like really, really, really common. At some point, something that can really help if you're trying to make friends with Meetup, like if you go to meetup.com, go to a bunch of meetups and find the people that are fucking reliable, like that keep going to the same meetups and keep showing up every time, and then be friends with them. And like literally say, what other meetups are you in that people show up to that I can come to? Like Meetup is basically a networking tool. Use it as a networking tool rather than just I'm going to go to the meetups and show up. You're there to like literally find the people that can be your friend or will be reliable. I made friends with this one woman who was like the host of a bunch of meetups, and she was like a god at being social. I would just ask her like, who's showing up? Where do I go? What things are you doing this week? So yeah, make friends.
I love your little story about was it candle making that you went to or something? Like I remember you talking about this.
Candle making,
you were like
making,
yeah, you went to like a bunch of candle making stuff. No, I come from the other end where I if people are going to ask me for social advice, I don't use these apps. Now I love that you tell people to use them, but like I think once you get to a certain point of like ability to make friends, if you can walk into a room and make friends, whatever room it is, like I could walk into a library and make friends. I could walk into a. Am I loud enough, by the way? My mic volume is like really low. Am I good? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, when you get to the point where you can literally make friends within 5 seconds walking into a room, you do kind of stop using this stuff unless you're looking for a specific hobby to play. Like D&D is a really good example because it's hard to find groups unless you go online looking. But I think eventually you stop using this stuff because you're just good enough to meet people randomly, basically, which is fine. I use hostels for the same reason. Like hostels were my way of making friends for years. Now they were coinciding with my travel love and going to new countries and like exploring and adventuring. But hostels were a crutch I used to like learn how to make friends as well. Crutch is I don't like the word crutch. Facilitator.
People say crutch.
They were a facilitator.
Yeah.
They were a facilitator. There we go.
Yeah.
I think meetups are cool. I would say meetups can be a bit hit and miss, in my opinion, now, because sometimes I go to meetups and they're like a bit dead. And like, but if you go to meetups if you keep going to like a volume, it's like a numbers game, like everything. Like if you go to 7 meetups in a week, one of them will be good. Like at least one of them will be good. Also, if one of them's shit, but you make friends with the organizer or something, you can 100%. Help improve the event. Like be like, hey, we should get some more. This is a good idea. We can get more people to this. Like make friends with people who are trying to build networks. I think that's quite cool. I think making friends with people who are actively trying to build social networks, they're good friends to have.
Yep. My best friend, Timor, he had his own meetup. He was like the first friend that I made after I broke up with my girlfriend, like when I was 28 and when I was a bit depressed and going through all of that. And he organized like a book club, a philosophy book club. And there weren't a lot of people that went. Like the first meetup, I think had like 4 people, including me. But I could tell that he was trying to build something. I could tell that he cared deeply about self-improvement and philosophy. He was in the beginning stages of that shit, and so was I. And we just became best friends, and then we got more people to come. And then at some point we were like, exactly what you said, we don't need the meetup. And then he just kind of let it die. It's like, we don't need the meetup. We just make friends with people. And then we started approaching women, doing all that shit. So yeah, meetup's an excuse to meet people. Like it's a facilitator, like you said. It's for people who can't walk into a bar and just make friends, which is most people, including me, like old me.
Yeah, you could do that now.
Yeah. I'm saying old me couldn't just walk up to people and be like, "Hi, I want to be friends." Like if you put me in a new town right now, I'd just walk up to people and be like, "Hi, I'm new here. Like, do you want to be my friend, or do you know where I can make friends, or like what's up?" We just do that with 20 people. You just cold approach 20 people.
I wonder if there's anyone in here who knows the deep Andy lore, and they know where to find the videos of old Andy. Not you, but has anyone in chat? Has anyone in chat seen that video of Andy reacting to his early approach log videos, where it's like a different fucking person?
Technically, all of my approach log videos are still live on YouTube, and there is an article on my website that has everything I went through to work on my social skills and approach anxiety and all of that. Like I kept that log. It's an article on my website. Very easy to find.
That first video is just crazy. That first video, like you don't sound the same. Like your voice sounds different. It's so weird. Like you had no confidence. Like you had physically and vocally had no confidence at all. It was just like, hey, I'm Andy. I got the worst approach anxiety of the world. I live in Australia. I don't like online dating.
Scared. You know what's funny is I re-recorded that video a bunch of times, so that's the best.
And that was the best one.
Yeah, that was the most confident I could be.
Can we watch it? This is like theater of the mind. Unless we watch it right now.
I mean, do you have enough time to watch it right now? Aren't you going?
It's like 2 minutes, isn't it? It's not that long.
You really want to watch this?
Just give them a flavor. Just give them a flavor of the first like minute and a half of it. It's really
fine. I'll find it.
So people understand what I'm talking about.
I'll find
I like the idea of doing more interactive stuff. I feel like we did that one react, but it was like the whole stream. Like you could just react to like small videos as well, I think, on stream just to freshen up if you wanted to. Or if someone recommended something or said, if someone in chat was like, would you react to this? Would you do that on stream? Or is that something you don't want to do?
I'll happily do that. Someone said that yesterday. It's just that I think it was Phoenix. Someone said, here's a documentary, but it was like 3 hours long or something. So
yeah, no 3-hour clips. Like, yeah. But like, haven't you been on with like playing with fire and stuff before? And they're like, let's react to this and stuff like that. You can do that stuff too. If people want
I haven't
to do
with
that
him,
stuff.
but yeah, I'll happily do that. Okay, you guys really want to watch this?
Go
Oh,
for it.
fuck, it doesn't sound like me at all. Okay.
No, it doesn't. That's why I want to watch it with them.
Let me remember how I did this last time.
The one that shocked me, someone showed me a clip of Derek More Plates, More Dates from like 6 years ago when he first started making content. It's so crazy how much he's improved, like on camera.
Look at this. This is 9 years ago. So September 2015, technically. Okay, tell me if you can hear this, everyone. I'm Andy. I'm 28 from Australia. You can hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll watch
I mean, I can hear it.
Yo. Good. You're all that matters. So what's up? I'm Andy. I'm 28 from Australia, and I have the worst approach anxiety in the world. Mate, I've never cold approached a chick ever in my life. Like even in bars at night, shit like that. I just like have never been able to do it. I've gotten laid decently well from online and social circle, but online is like the shittest place to get laid, as I'm sure you all know. So I thought I'd try the approach anxiety program, see how it goes. I signed up on the forums and all that, and last night, had an interesting experience. I thought I'd give the asking chicks for the time thing a go, you know, jumping a day ahead, but I thought I'd just try it out when I was on the way. I was walking somewhere. I thought it would be like the easiest thing in the world. And so I didn't even need to get revved up. And I saw this chick, and I'm like, okay, I'll go ask her for the time. But she was on the phone, and then I was like, okay, so I won't ask her for the time because she's on the phone. That would be rude. Then I saw this other chick, and she was jogging, and I thought, okay, nah, I can't ask her.
We don't need to see all of it, man. It's fine.
Fair enough.
This is
Okay, I'll ask
cool.
the next.
I just wanted everyone to see how you spoke and how you like your posture, like the hat. For background as well, that hat. When you had sex with girls and you kept the hat on story as well.
I
it was
kept
really
the beanie on, yeah, because I was scared.
Yeah.
Because my hairline, yeah. I hated being bald. I was very insecure about that, yeah. Blue Note, exactly what you just said. We were all happy to watch the video
so much. I love the video so much. I love the video.
We were all happy to watch. You couldn't handle the cringe. You have a social... Rishav says, not going to lie, I like the look. Yeah, but you can't match the current
beanie
look,
though.
brother. Look at this Santa shit. The beanie. Yeah, I wear beanies during winter. But it's just a bit hotter. Yeah, back in the day.
I can't believe that's like a decade ago now. It's fucking crazy that's a decade ago now.
Yeah. It shows you what a decade of self-improvement can help with. Someone left a comment on that video, actually. How the fuck did they find that video? Probably through the article. They said, this is motivating me. I'll start going outside and facing my social anxiety again. Whoever wrote that, good job. Proud of you. You're doing amazing. But yeah, it shows you how far you can come. That was before anything, before sex, dating, relationships. You gotta leave.
I'm gonna have to leave you for a second. I'm just going to the toilet. I'll be back.
Yep. He's gone. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about him. That's the best thing about like when someone leaves the room, you start talking about them. Isn't Cam a great guy? I'm really proud of him. I think he's an amazing human being. He adds a lot to my life, and I'm super grateful for him. All right, let's scroll through and see if any of you left any questions or comments. Expert cheek clapper. Hello, my friend. Andy, last night's stream inspired me to invite 50... Fuck you. I legitimately thought this was a serious comment. You fucking asshole. Oh, you fucking idiot. Okay. You got me. Congratulations. You legitimately got me. I actually thought that you wrote something from... Rishav says, yo, everyone. Hello, Rishav. How you doing? You're going to say you guys play the Witcher series. Are you into this series at all? I played one of them. I liked it. I'd be less into it these days. I think I'm just less into games like that these days. But I liked it. I liked it quite a lot. I thought it was quite fun. I really liked how much love they put into the game. Like, that was very apparent. The developers really, really, really put a lot of love into it, and a lot of lore, and a lot of, like, backstory and all of that. The game obviously looks incredibly beautiful. I like the characters. So, yeah, I like The Witcher. Expert cheek clapper, you said that's you as in the picture. Cool, brother. Awesome. Good job. Good job being, like, I don't know. I feel like there is a little bit of bravery in putting yourself in profile pictures. Like, a lot of people on the internet are anonymous, and nothing against people who are anonymous, obviously. I get the fear, but there is something nice about putting your face on the internet. it was a very big fear that I had, like putting my face and then my penis and all of that stuff on the internet. I was really terrified, guys. Like, you don't understand how many weeks and months I debated, like, should I put my face on there? And then same as when I put my name, which I did early on. I didn't put my full name, but from very early on in my blog, I was like, all right, I'm Andy. I was really terrified to do that. I was really scared. But something that helped was Chris from Good Looking Loser, who was honest and upfront. Caleb Jones put his name out there, Mark Manson, like all of these people. And I thought, you know what, fuck it, fine. I'll put my name in my face and all of that. There's obviously lots and lots and lots of content creators who are in this same sort of sphere, who put their face and name on the internet. And yeah, it can be quite a confronting thing when you first do it. Rishav, you said, which one did you play? Have you found the article, brother? like are you on the article that I'm talking about? If not, it's on, just go to killerintheloser.com, search for the word approach, and then the article that we're referring to is how I beat my approach anxiety. The one that I played is the very first video. Like, it's at the top, or it's near the top, but I've got every video that I made, like every vlog. I think there's like 50 of them in that article. I made like 50 different vlogs, little videos of like each day of the approach anxiety program. I also have a post, like a written out post of what I went through that day, what I did, blah, blah, blah. I will say, and I think I put this caveat at the top of that article, this was 10 years ago. And so the person I was 10 years ago is drastically different from who I am today. And I think I make that pretty clear at the start. Yeah, I do. I literally at the top say, I want to make this damn clear. I in no way endorse some of the attitudes that I used to hold. That isn't to say that they were wrong. That isn't to judge them. It's just like, this is not how I talk now. And I was going through a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. And for a while there, I hated women. And some of that comes through in some of the videos and some of the articles. Like, I had a combative mindset towards women. I was just trying to get laid and get pussy. And like, I cared about their happiness, but like not as much as I do now. So I put all that in there, but it is fun to read through. It's like a nice trip down memory lane to see who I used to be, to see me struggle. I make it pretty freaking clear how much I was struggling. You can see how much I celebrated whenever I would hook up with someone. You can see how excited and happy I was. Like, you can see how much it all meant to me. You can see my worst mental health days. You can see my best mental health days. There's a lot of jokes in there. It's actually quite fun to read through and watch all the videos. Like, I put lots of jokes and stuff, and yeah, it's a fun little trip down memory lane. Back.
I've got mate.
Okay, we'll answer. How about Rishav? I'll answer this question properly once Cam's gone. But while Cam is here, Cam, have you ever put any like nudes online?
No, it's not really something I'm interested in doing. I don't see I would see the point of like, when you did it, it was to prove that you knew what you were talking about in terms of like dating and getting laid, etc. And that was a good phase. And then now you do it, for artistic purposes now. So like, there's two reasons. There's like several reasons to put nudes of yourself online. It's like, if you're gonna make money, or if you're an artist and it's kind of part of the art form you're involved in. I literally can't think of any other reason to put nudes of yourself online.
You're missing one of the big reasons. You're missing like the main reason, maybe the only reason I did it. You say the proof thing, that definitely helped, but the big reason was because I was literally terrified to do it. And like, it was literally a form of letting go of like, this is one of the things that I'm the most afraid of doing. And
okay, but like, is there a point of doing something you're afraid of doing, but there's no real purpose to like benefit your life
if you want
for
to.
overcoming a fear? Okay, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I would say I'm not super psyched about the idea of putting nudes online.
Yeah,
but it's like, at the same time, I'm not super psyched about putting my hand in a fire. And like, unless there was really good reason to put my hand in a fire, then maybe I should get over the pain and fear. But like, there's no really good reason for me to put my hand in a fire. So like, it's like one of those things where like, yeah, I'm scared to do that, but like also like, there's literally no benefit to doing it. So it doesn't really matter if I overcome that fear or not, personally, to me.
Yeah. And
does that make sense?
More to the point. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I think especially in masculine self-improvement circles, there can often be this almost obsession with like, you got to be hyper masculine and not give a fuck about anything, and basically almost erase all of your preferences or all of your fears and just do anything that's scary. And I will absolutely
they say that in order to
advocate for that.
They say that in order to make you do something they want you to do. That's the reason that gets said. People out there, whether they're trying to, whether they're like whether they're like political and they're kind of trying to reshape society in the way they want it to be, or they are selling you something. There's a lot of like appealing to your masculinity to get you to do stuff. So yeah, you should always ask, like, is this person asking from an ideological reason, or are they trying to make money? And like, either though, if it's like no to both of those, then fine. But at the end of the day, you and me are trying to make money too online, so it's not like we can remove all of those reasons. But there are a lot of times, I think, where I think it's really good. There are a lot of times where you put selling to one side and you say, hey, you don't have to. I can help you a lot more if you pay me, but you don't
Like
have.
me.
I will say this to you. Yeah, this is what you should do. Like, if you pay me, I'll help you like to do it faster. But at the same time, you can do this without me, and you can definitely start improving yourself. I don't think you're the least pushy salesperson I've ever seen, probably ever. Like, you actually bend backwards not to sell to people a lot
Which
of
was
times.
like
So,
absolutely like a choice and came with consequences that I'm very glad I did. But yeah, you obviously make less money if someone is literally sitting on a call with you and you say, look, man, I can see you're hesitant. You're allowed to say no. You literally make less money if you do that, obviously, in the short term. But in the long term, maybe you make more money, which is not why I do it. I just don't want to push people. But yeah, like it
is it
definitely
gay to be
comes with
drinking from a pink straw like this?
everything's. If it's gay, I don't want to be straight, bro. I got this 3 times now. I've been called gay today, and you know what? Maybe it's time to suck on.
2 of them were me. Actually, I called you gay more than two times. I called you gay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, 5 times. I can't count.
Brother, we live in 2025. If a man wants to be
Can
gay,
I-
then I support that. I think that's beautiful.
Can I answer a question about backpacking? I just wanted to remember before I forget about this. Someone asked me a question.
Yep.
Yeah. It says, Cam, have you backpacked across Australia to make up for the college thing you missed out on? That is traveling generally. I actually went traveling in America to make up for college more than Australia. I went to Australia like to extend my travels, but the original plan was to go to America. And I went to America for about 6 months total, and was broke by the end of it because fuck me, what an expensive country America is. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think Australia is a really good country for that. The good thing about Australia is, I don't know where you're from, but typically you can get work visas quite easily in Australia. So it means you can make money to pay as you go. And I think it's better to pick a country where you can do that. If you're trying to make up, like with the sex life and dating life. Like, the problem with America is I was bouncing between hostels and losing money, and like I was bouncing everywhere, like staying for like 3 days, 1 week at most. Whereas in Australia, I was staying in places like 6 months to a year. So it was a lot easier to build a dating life doing that. If you're planning on like making up for the partying and the relationships, if you're like me and you missed out on college, basically you missed out on the college experience, then yeah, that is a good idea. And I do endorse Australia like as a country to do that in, as long as you can make your way with some form of income, because it's not a cheap country, but you do get work rights. You do get working visas pretty easily.
Yeah. All right. The Dozer Boy. I'm back for more. Hello. From yesterday, advice on ways to overcome regret and bitterness centered around missing out. So for context, yesterday he said, I feel like I've missed out on like my 20s or whatever. I've missed out on the past, not getting the dating results I want. Any advice, Mr. Cam?
Mm-hmm. You've missed out on the past. Specifically on overcoming regret and bitterness centered around missing out. Really focus on the now. Like, Andy and I don't think backwards much. Like, and we spoke about this before.
Only
like,
for learning lessons.
Yeah, but I really don't reminisce like that much either, which is kind of, I would like to reminisce more a little bit sometimes and stop and just be like, that was a really cool time. I think I reminisce more about the positives than I ever would. I don't think I look back on any negatives. I do think this is going to sound weird. I'm not really the mental help. Like, this is how to overcome your mental problems like Andy is. I'm more of a practical person in that regard. Like, I a lot of what I've built in terms of my stoicism, my resolve, my optimism has come from just, having success and like grinding out success in the present. And I do think that's a really good way of like getting over that. Like, you don't care about that stuff if you replace it with like, like, not only if you replace it with stuff that's going well in the present, but also what's going well in the future, what's going to go well in the future again as well. Like, I think the next few years are going to be incredibly good. And like, why the fuck would I care about my bad high school memories. And Andy knows I had some really bad high school memories that I've told him about. I don't know if you remember. I'm not going to talk about them really here, but like, yeah, I have bad high school memories. I have bad college memories. I've spoken about social. I had some really bad social rejections in college too that like scarred me almost. So like, and I don't give a fuck about any of that anymore. Like I don't care. I've got so much social. I have so much social success and dating success that it's like a tidal wave that's like just been wiped all of that stuff away. So if there's any, yeah, God, choking on my own words. If any of this is just fuel for you to like really double down and move forward with self-improvement and winning in the moment and winning in the future, I hope that is at least. Yeah, you don't care about the missing out again when you start winning. You just don't. You've replaced it. Like you're gonna think of the wins when you instead of the losses.
Yeah, be so busy winning that you don't care about whether or not you lost in the past. Like, be too busy winning to even care about losing. That's what we talk about in the Play to Win video course. Play to win.
What's that thing?
Rather than focusing.
What's that thing they say that the best revenge is a life well lived, or something like that? Isn't that an expression?
That's one of my favorite fucking quotes when someone's like, I'm pissed off at this person. This person screwed me over. This woman rejected me. It's like, the best revenge is a life well lived. Go work on yourself. But yeah, I understand the Dozer boy, like that feeling of regret. Believe me. I said it yesterday to you, brother, but there's a video on my channel. Just search for the word 28. And it's called When I Was 28, I Thought It Was Too Late For Me. And I talked about regret from the past, wasting time, all of that.
You spent 12 years in relationships you didn't want to be in, didn't you? In terms of like the total number of
like
time.
10 years.
Total
10
length
years,
of time.
Yeah.
10 years. Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
11,
So you've spoken a lot about this. Yeah. Like you've spoken a lot about that. Like you in one abusive relationship, went into another one. And like, it's just, yeah. So you know quite a lot. Andy knows quite a lot about what he would consider lost time. So yeah, even more than me. Yeah. I went to see Andy when I was like 3 years younger than Andy was when he started. So yeah.
So I get it, bro. But like something else that can help is to recontextualize everything. Like it's so, dude, Cam, you and I talk about this all the time in the coaching. How many guys will just be like, all of this time in the past was a waste? And it's like, have you learned anything from the past? And they're like, yeah, I've learned this and this. Then how the fuck was it a waste? You learned something. Yeah. And often like learning experiences we say are a waste because we're like, well, I should have just known that. And it's like, you had to go through that experience to learn that lesson. So it wasn't a waste. It was a teaching moment. You basically got free university or free college. Like you got to learn something. And now you are a better, more effective, more capable, confident person.
Yeah. If you're a guy in your early 30s or late 20s as well, understand that you're in such a better position from like a life experience. Like your stoicism is going to be way better than like a 22-year-old. Your general just ability to handle the world is going to be better typically than you expect. Like kids, even the guys who are having a lot of success in their early 20s, they're just full of anxiety and like in a way that you won't be because you're a bit older and you have a bit more like going for you. You probably have way more money than they will. You just have a lot going for you than you think you do. You're just thinking, I've missed out, I'm too old or whatever. And Andy's done quite a lot of really successful videos on being too old. Like the too old thing is so common. Like so many guys say that.
The fear, yeah.
And it's just, yeah. I think I'm too old. I missed out. This is such a common one now. And I think more and more like these are the people I think you can help the best because they're like closer to your age as well. And they're going to see themselves more in you as well.
Yeah. I think it helps to see me like out in front. What I mean by out in front is like I'm 38, so I'm older than a lot of you. Or I'm almost 38. I'm older than a lot of you. And I'm really happy with my life. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's like, I don't know what more I could possibly want. Like if this was my life for the rest of my life where I am right now, I'd be like, holy shit. Wow. I didn't expect this. So I like my life a lot. And I'm obviously successful in sex and dating. And I think seeing me at 37 and go like, well, this guy has a beautiful girlfriend that loves him and they have sex and they're dating another girl, Bronwyn, and she's amazing and they've seen her for 2 years. And at any point, if they want to, they can go out and have more sex. And literally, I'm at a point where it's like, I don't want to, though. I like having sex with these two. Seeing all of that and going, wow, this guy's like happy at 37. Maybe there's hope for me, especially for those of you that are younger. And you just saw that video that we played of me like 10 years ago or 8 years ago or whatever. That didn't look like me. And so any of you who are in that position, that lack of confidence, that negativity, that mindset of hopelessness, like if I can go from that to like today, where I am today, and I'll be even further along in the future, you definitely can too. So I think it helps seeing someone. Like, that's why I like people like Caleb Jones. Caleb Jones is another good one that you can all follow if you're interested.
Oh yeah,
Just
bro's so
Google
old.
Caleb
No
Jones.
offense to him.
He's like
Bro's so
50
old.
or 60 or something. Yeah, he's like
And he
in
got
his
out of like his
50s.
divorce when he was like in his. I think he got divorced in his 30s.
Like
or whatever.
40s. No, it was later
Yeah, yeah,
than that.
yeah. And
It
he's
was,
got
like,
like
really
3
late.
girlfriends. He's got like a wife. His 2 girlfriends. He's got a wife and 2 girlfriends, and they're both in their 20s. I think both the girlfriends are in their 20s.
Yeah.
So like it's
Yeah.
like it's fine. You have ways of succeeding. Also, I've said it before. Like I think I've massively like my results online seem to be picking up as I get more into my 30s. I don't know why that is, but like it seems like when I hit 31, suddenly I just got like way more girls interested, and I don't know why. I said
Yeah.
maybe it's just like that's a good age range for a lot of girls now. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, who cares? It's probably more the confidence thing because there's plenty of guys in their 30s who don't have any attention from women. We all know that. So I think it's maybe
No, but like I haven't
bit
even
of, like,
changed my profile. My profile hasn't changed much since I was like 29. So like, and it's still, and suddenly it's just the increase in results is wild. Yeah,
maybe.
who knows? Could be other factors.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like we need a control study. You need 2 versions of Cam, and then
It's
you can
impossible to do
compare one
that.
to the other.
Yeah, this idea,
That's what
the
I
idea
mean.
of like actually, it's actually people who want these answers from dating just understand it's impossible. We can't get enough data. We can't get enough actual data points.
Yeah.
And like everyone's unique. Everyone's everyone's too unique as well, and circumstances are too different. Like you're in different cities, different cultures. It's really, really hard. Like I don't think we'd have to. I'd actually have to look into studies and stuff to see what people have done to like I'm not even a sociologist, but I'm sure they had to figure out how to do these control factors and how to actually look at the data because like blanket looking across Tinder is unhelpful in my opinion.
Yeah. That's why we generally speaking don't answer questions when some of you ask like, do you think it's easier to get laid in your 20s or 30s? We're like, I don't fucking know. Like, I don't have a control study. No one does. I know that it's very possible to have sex in both of those decades. And I know that if you work on yourself and improve yourself a little bit each time and talk to more women, it will get easier. So just focus on that. Like, focus on the shit that we actually do know, which is self-improvement works very well for dating, business, friends, mental health, happiness, life, enlightenment, peace, everything. Like, if you put more effort into something and are consistent with just baby steps every day, there is a payoff. We know that as a fact. Everyone on the planet fucking knows that, apart from maybe some socialists or something. But like vast majority of people know that. So just focus on that. That's the truth. That is an actual factual true statement. The universe or life or existence will reward you if you put effort in for a long enough period of time. So just do that. Don't worry about all the extra shit. Don't worry about like, what's the perfect thing to say to a woman when I hit on her? Just fucking improve at how you talk to her and do that over time with practice. So, yeah. Cam, I think you can answer this one as well as me. Have we had people that wanted to join coaching but we didn't feel comfortable? Yeah, Cam and I have like let 1 or 2 people go from the coaching program in the first couple of weeks and given them like a refund, and there's been a few.
I'll say this openly. I don't mind saying it because I think it was my call, not yours, or at least I asked you, can we make this a rule? We don't take anyone with like full-on suicidal thoughts who's going through suicidation. Basically, I would say anyone who comes to the group and their problems require like immediate medical attention, I would say no. And I mean, when I mean that, I mean like this guy, someone we helped, they basically got recommended inpatient services for their suicidal thoughts. And I love the dude, really what a lovely dude, by the way. Absolutely love him.
Yeah.
His actual goals were completely doable, but
Yeah.
you know, this was just one of those situations where I'm not comfortable. I don't feel we are qualified. I know you've done it before. I personally didn't feel comfortable having someone at that stage.
So here's the reason that we gently let him go, and we were super nice to him, and he's still in the community. He still talks to all of us. Like, he comes to some of these live streams. He's mentioned that on the live streams. He's a very lovely person, but I felt fine handling that stuff. I have worked with suicidal people before. Like, literally, I have coached them, but I sure as fuck did not feel comfortable with Cam, Ed, and Taylor taking on that, and the rest of the coaching group, because the coaching group and the way that we've set it up is everybody helps everybody else. Everyone's very generous and all of that. It didn't really feel fair if you've paid a bunch of money to be there and you're like, all right, I want to build my business. And then you're helping someone through a mental health crisis when you're not qualified for that, but you want to help. And there were quite a few, we've seen this with a few people that are struggling with mental health. where other people try and help, but they're almost just like, fuck, man, I sit here passively. I don't know how to help this person, and I want to. So we
Yeah.
have had a few
There's
people in
been
the group with mental health issues. There's one or
no,
two.
but there's mental health that's fine. There's like if you're having
Yeah.
a burnout, if you're having burnout, like a stress breakdown, completely fine. If you get a little bit depressed over things that are difficult, that's fine. But like there's definitely like an obvious red line where it's like this guy's going through,
If you're
this guy
literally
needs
like,
like
I'm going to
actual
kill
like
myself.
one-on-one help.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy needs one-on-one help with someone who is professionally trained to deal with this stuff, in my opinion,
Yeah.
or medically trained to deal with that stuff. See? So yeah, like that's the for me, that's one of the red lines. I don't want to accept guys who I like that you don't accept guys who aren't serious about goals. I think that's a good idea. I think if someone says like I'm a 5 out of 10 for my goals, like, well, I'm not here to convince you that you need your goals. Like,
Dude, that was one of these recently.
Yeah.
Yep. That was one of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
And
I'm not. We're not here to motivate you to want your goals. Okay, you want your goals, and we help you get them. We're not here to be motivational. We're not whatever the name. What's the name of the really famous motivational speaker? Fucking hell.
Like Tony Robbins.
Yeah, we're not Tony Robbins. We're not trying to motivate you from 0 to 10. We're trying to accept people who are already at a 10. Basically, that's like the point of.
Or
that's
they're
so
not
much...
at a 10. Most of the people who apply for the coaching program, I asked a question, how serious are you out of 10? Most of them don't say 10. They say 8, 9, or 10, and then they'll explain. There's a little box underneath to explain your answer, and they'll say, I want to be a 10, but I'm really scared. I have limiting beliefs and fears.
That's workable.
Yeah, we only work with someone who's like a 7, 8, 9, or 10. And if they're a 7, I'll still have a conversation with them. But I had someone recently that applied for the coaching program who wrote 5 out of 10 in terms of serious. And something that I do for everyone, I think do you know this? Everyone that applies for the coaching program, I get on a free call with them and talk through everything. But before that, when they first apply to the program, I record them a voice message. And I basically either give them coaching or I will talk through their inquiry and I will explain everything to them. And I try and help them. And so this guy who said he's 5 out of 10 in terms of serious, I was never going to accept him in the coaching program, but I still like to help people a little bit. So I recorded him this long voice message. It was like 45 minutes long, basically coaching and being like, bro, what the fuck, man? Like, I get that you're scared to be an 8 or 9 or a 10, but you are like not taking yourself seriously. You're wasting your own time. You filled out this entire application. You put effort into it. I can see that. But what the fuck are you doing, man? Either shit or get off the pot. You got to be like a 7, 8, 9, or a 10 in terms of seriousness. 5 is like you're doing this as a defense mechanism. You're too afraid to go all in case you fail. And so you're going to half-ass it and play life on safe mode. So I gave him this big voice message. He obviously didn't reply to that. And people like that, I give them a chance. So I'll do a voice message and I'll say like, bro, either you're fucking serious or you're not. But like you just said, it's not my job to convince you that you care about your goals. You either do or you don't. I can help you achieve those goals. You might have moments of lack of motivation. We can help you through that. But if you are coming to the program immediately as a 5 out of 10, well, you're not fucking serious. So either figure out if you're serious, go away and think about it and figure it out. Like go sit in a park and meditate or something, or decide that like, look, I'm not that serious and that's okay. You don't have to feel shame or judgment about that. And then go do other stuff. Go work on other goals. Like go do something else. So I record those voice messages and then I give people a chance. I literally say, reapply for the coaching program in a week or 2 if you're more serious, or just send me an email and say, bro, okay, fine. Yep, I'm serious. And I have had a couple of people who go, you're right, bro. I was trying to play it safe. That's why I said I'm a 5 out of 10 because I'm scared, man. Are you happy? I'm fucking scared, dude. And I'm like, yeah, good job. Now you're being brave. Now you can come in the coaching program. So it's not that we expect everyone to be a fucking ass-kicking warrior. What we are looking for is that you are brave enough to admit that you're scared. You're brave enough to say, I'm fucking terrified and I don't know if I can do this. My favorite people, or our favorite people to work with, are the ones who literally say, I'm really scared, man, and I don't know if I can do this. Because I'm like, look at you being brave. Like you're sharing your fears. Now we know what we're fucking working with. We can help you with that. So you got to tell us like what you're struggling with.
God, fucking tell us. God, tell us.
Got to fucking tell us.
Is there anything
you
else?
Gotta fucking tell us.
I think there's
ethics.
I don't think there's anyone. No one's. Yeah,
ethics,
but no one's
no.
really. I can't unless you. Have you dealt with people who've got unethical goals?
Right? Yeah. No, I just don't tell you about them because like it's an instant no. Imi will run it by me because she checks all the inquiries and stuff. She'll be like, "This is obviously a no, right?" And I'll check through it and Yeah. So if you want
It's like,
examples,
I want to
like there was
bang
one.
100 bitches this. I want to bang 100 bitches this year. I don't give a fuck what they think about
Yeah.
it. I don't give a fuck if they like. If I'm gonna get them drunk, like that kind of shit. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine.
Yes, that's a hard no. But I'll be gentle with that. I'll like literally explain, hey man, like I went through a little period of that where all I cared about was getting laid and just the numbers and getting a notch in my belt, and that didn't feel very satisfying. Like I'll explain it to them, and then if they still aren't coming around to that line of thinking, then I won't work with them.
Just send them.
I've
Just
had a
send
couple.
them. Just send them. Just send them back a link to John Anthony's channel. It's easy.
Yeah, there's lots of people out there that would support that kind of like mindset, and there's other coaches you
What's
don't
interesting?
need.
I don't think like. I think. I think it's good that you recommend like playing with fire and that, because I think we've realized that he's actually like a really decent human being. Like even though
I like him.
his persona online, because I think people would look at him and think, oh, like douchey fuckboy. But it's his persona from what I understand, from like what you've told me and like some of his other stuff. Like he's actually quite a decent person, even though he's running like a let's fuck as many chips off Tinder as we can. Yeah, that kind of like vibe of his like, this is how you like get her wet over text, that kind of stuff. Which is, you got to get views somehow. Sorry, I've derailed that. I can't. There was one time, right? And he's been in the coaching group like 3 times. So you love him, you still love him. But I remember you responding to one of his like goals, and you were like, "This doesn't really fit in line with like what I believe in." It was like some sort of like self-defense thing. Do you remember that?
Yep, I do.
Yeah, that was. I remember you writing a big long thing like, "This is not ethically in line with like what I think is a good idea." So I can't sign off on this, but like it was interesting debate.
I believe he was advocating violence or something. I think that's why. No, wasn't he putting himself in harm's way? Isn't that
Or
what
someone
he was
else?
saying?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
With guns, remember? He basically, yeah, no, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Americans are
extra
too casual
context.
about guns. You guys have been desensitized from how dangerous those things are. Like I think some people
Well,
just pick
what
their
he was
teeth with
saying
guns and
was,
stuff.
I want someone to hold a loaded gun to my head, like a loaded
Oh
gun to my
yeah.
head. Remember? That's
By the
what
way,
he said.
love
I
this.
want
If he's
someone to
watching,
hold a
love. I love.
loaded gun.
But
Yeah,
if he's watching,
we
love you,
love him to
mate. And
bits.
Andy does too. Like I
Yeah.
remember that now.
But he said, I want someone to hold a loaded gun to my head so that I can practice getting over the fear of death. And I was like, that's not one that I recommend, because what if the other person, like, remember Alex Baldwin recently, like on the movie studio, like someone died, and it's like, you got to live with that. So like your friend that you're asking to hold a loaded gun to your head, what if there's a slip up? And what if something happens? You're now putting that on them. And even if there isn't, you're making someone else be anxious. And anyone who would say yes to that, yeah, sure, I'll hold a loaded gun to your head. I don't trust that person. like anyone that would do that, I don't want that person to. So it's almost one of these catch-22s of like, I wouldn't expect anyone to say yes to that, but anyone that does say yes to that has probably not thought it through, or I'm not sure that I would fully feel safer in that. So yeah, that was like the one time. Yeah, Dr. Chad says, not going to lie, that sounds hardcore, like Goggins on roids. I think Goggins would not have someone hold a loaded gun to their head. It's kind of like there are ways to deal with your fear of death that don't involve risking death.
Russian
Just
roulette. Yeah.
Just go sit in a pond, sit next to a pond and just meditate for the next couple of months and start working through your fear of death. So that was like the one time. I think maybe another example is sometimes I get emails. It's rare, but like I've had 3 emails from people wanting to join the coaching, basically saying, "Hey, can you help me cheat on my girlfriend?" Like they don't phrase it like that because the mind can like rewrite things, but they will say, "I'm in a relationship. She doesn't know. I would like to get laid a lot, and she's not comfortable with an open relationship, but I love her and I want to keep her. Can you teach me how to go and fuck a lot of women outside of the relationship?" And I'm gentle with that. I'm nice. I'm empathetic, but I'm basically like, hey man, is this really what you want to be doing? And some of them have even been self-aware and gone, you're right, man. Maybe this isn't what I want to be doing. I don't know what to do. And like, yeah, so we've had a few of those. And obviously nothing against that person, but I don't think like, I don't know, how would you phrase it? I feel like we have a baseline level of like honesty that we're looking
Yeah, if someone
for.
came in there like, if someone came and like coach me through breaking up with my girlfriend, you'd be like, yeah, I can help you with that. But like,
Yeah.
if someone's like coach me through cheating on her, you're like, absolutely not. Like we have
Because of
actually
the
we coached
lying
someone through.
aspect, yeah.
Has he spoken about this? The guy that you coached through the breakup on the channel, has he spoken to you about this on the channel? I don't want to talk about his business
There's
unless.
been maybe don't talk about, because I don't know who you're talking about. So just
Well,
keep it
he is.
anonymous.
He's still in the group technically. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, I can answer a couple more questions. Sorry, I don't want to say anything.
Yeah. We always err on the side of anonymity for everyone listening.
Let me answer a couple more questions. I want to see. Someone asked you for doing interviews and collaborations. I've asked you this, and you said not at the moment, but that's fine because you're doing your 365 and you're busy. So it's a lot of to people who are asking Andy this sort of thing. It's actually quite a lot of work, collaborations and this stuff. It's like a lot of
you don't know that it's
logistically. It's a lot of work. Andy's in Australia, so he's had to get up at like 3 and 4 a.m. to do these things at times. That's like the biggest problem I think with a lot of this. I mean, you got up at like video. You got up at 3 a.m. for Caleb, didn't you, as well? Yeah, also, when you do an interview, you have to edit. Yeah.
Because people, they almost never go smoothly. Like, someone's like, I need to go piss, or they'll cough, or they'll be like, hey, maybe cut that out. I forgot what I was saying. Like,
you should invite onto a live stream. Why don't you invite Alex on a live stream or something? That would be easier than doing an interview now. You could be like, hey, come on my live stream. I know Scotty does that. Scotty just has live streams now where he like chats on live streams.
Yeah, I'm down to do that at some point. It's just not something I'm desperate for. I know collaborations help build channels, like obviously, I know that, but
yeah. Did you answer the guy, by the way, when he asked about have there been any consequences from your nudes online? Did you answer the actual question about the consequences?
I was planning on answering that. There's a bunch of questions I'll answer once you go because they're probably not relevant to you unless you want me to.
That's fair enough. That's cool. What's relevant to me? Can you see anything?
This one, Rishav. I'm too broke right now, but the backpacking thing is a real dream of mine. I'm worried to be too old for that. Never too old, brother.
You're not too broke either. I know people who showed up in Australia with like minus $20. So like, yeah,
backpacking
as long as you have work rights,
people.
Yeah. As long as you have like work rights in the country, like there you can gamble a little bit. Yeah, it's a bit risky though. But the hostels tend to be quite cheap, so like you can usually tell a hostel like, hey, I'll get work. What you do is you give the hostel your passport. This is risky. I'm not saying this is like the best idea in the world.
I know,
but you give the hostel. You give the hostel your passport and you say, I will get you the money for the next couple of weeks once my work has paid me. And then they usually have an agreement, especially if they trust you already. So like if you stayed there for like a month already like that, and they're like, hey, I really need to stay somewhere. I will owe you, and you can just keep my passport as collateral because I'm not going to do anything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Someone's asked me what goals am I working on.
Those channels like Discover Connection. Rishav, go to channels like Discover Connection. They go to other countries with $0 in their pocket, and they have to go up to strangers and say, can I sleep in your house? Can I get some work? Like, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to be that extreme, but Cam and I are just pointing out to you that, like, money is not a barrier. Now, you might say, I don't want to backpack without some sort of safety net. Brilliant, bro. Like, we love that you know what you want to do. Great, then get up some money. But, like, we are offering you an alternative, basically. Which other one did you want to answer?
Someone just asked me a question directly. His name's Y.
I can't find that, but
bottom question, like the most recent thing. What are some goals I'm working on? Mostly financial, I would say at this point. Like, I don't think I've got a huge amount of dating goals. Like, I'm almost reaching the point where I'd like to meet someone that would be like very long term. Whereas like a lot of my long-term stuff has been like a year max because my location was going to change. But it would be cool to meet someone who is, more flexible location-wise. I have yet to like meet and date a girl for like a while who is location flexible. Like all the girls I've dated who have been like long-term things have been like basically locked down to like a country or a city or a region. And it's always been a case of like, we're coming up to the end, like we're gonna have to say goodbye soon. So like I know it's always a dream of mine when I was traveling hostels was like, can I meet a girl who would like come around the world with me and stuff? And so, yeah, that still hasn't happened. I still haven't but maybe I haven't planned it, like, been smart enough about it and like tried to plan actually meeting a girl like that. So there is that. I really like Buenos Aires. For the last month and a half I've been here, I'm really enjoying the city. It's quite affordable for me. So I might just come back here. And my rough plan is to find somewhere, and this is now one of my big candidates, and just kind of divide my time between the UK and here, or even maybe switch the UK for Australia or Dubai or something like that. So I have a kind of like a Western first world base, and then I have a like Latin America. Well, Argentina, Buenos Aires is like really well built up, nice city. I wouldn't call it like the third world or anything, but it's not as, if I'm being a bit snobbish about it, it's not like, it's not like being in like America or Canada or London. So there's like a degree of roughness to it. And I wouldn't mind spending like half the year in a more comfortable country and then coming here and having fun. So that's the way I would talk about it. I'm trying to be respectful here. Like, I'm not trying to like shit on people's countries. But yeah, I also don't speak Spanish yet. I need to learn Spanish. Oh, I can add learning Spanish. I got that. That's like one of my big goals. It's like my third or fourth goal now. Learning Spanish is probably above fucking new girls. I would rather be fluent in Spanish than add like another 10 girls to my lifetime late count, whatever, that nonsense, whatever. Is there anything else I can think of? I'm building several businesses, but it's all under finance. So, yeah. Have you noticed my nickname, by the way, Andy? I feel like you didn't mention it.
Andy Clune. Yes, I have.
Cool. I saw my face in the thumbnail.
Yeah.
It would have been funny if I didn't show up.
I stuck your face in there. I would have just photoshopped it out, retroactively fix it. Yeah, no one would know. Do you want to answer this one? Rishav says, too old, as in, I feel like I'm too old for the party scene for hostels and getting laid.
What's too old? You can't tell me your age. What's your age?
Who tells who tells you too old? Just like a man in the cloud come down and say, right, you're officially too old now, and no woman on the entire planet will like you. No one will want to be your friend, and the entire world says you're too old. Like, where's that line in the sand? What age?
He also asked Spanish versus French for getting girls. English, just, you don't need literally no English. As long as you know English, you can get laid everywhere. Essentially, I assume there's like Asian and Russian, like Russia and Asian. No, 25. No, you're fine. 25.
Bro,
don't give me age shit when you're 25.
I know. We have this a lot, like like you guys in the audience and coaching clients. We had a guy. We've had quite a few that come to coaching or in the comments who were like, "I'm 21. It's too old, too late for me." Right? And you're like, "Bro, 21. Come on, dude. Like, I'm 37. I'm 16 years older than you. Like, and I'm able to go out there and do this stuff. Like, come on. There must be some part of you that knows that 25 is not old. So I promise you're not old, brother. You're not.
You have like 2 years. Yeah, you have like 2 years. He says we might be too old when he gets the opportunity. Well, you have like, if you start planning now and saving now, you could get to a stage where you feel comfortable to go in like 2 years. Easy. Like, if it's actually what you want. If this is something that you really want, and you could like get all of your resources for the next 2 years towards the goal, you'll be ready to go at like 27. And when I landed in Australia, I think I was 26, 27. So you're fine.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. And we can get more clear about what's going on here. You're not too old. You're just afraid. And that's okay. We can deal with fear. There's lots of things we can do to help with fear and letting go of fear and limiting beliefs. But like, it is not a fact that you're too old, but it is a fact that you're afraid. So let's deal with the facts rather than like guessing or opinions or like, am I too old? Like, that's hypothetical. And Cam and I have said many times when we're talking about the hypothetical, we're not living in reality. You're literally living in an illusionary, like, made up world. The hypothetical is not real until sometimes it becomes real and then it's real. But a lot of the time it doesn't become real. And we are worrying about something that doesn't really matter. So this is one of those times where, like, if this is something that's important to you, you just feel the fear and do it anyway. And that can be scary. So you do tiny little baby steps. But like, the only thing that will ever make you feel better here is just doing it. If this is what you want to do, you don't have to backpack, but if you do it, you'll feel better. You realize that your fears didn't matter, and they almost never do. And a quote from David Hawkins is, all fear is illusion. And I think I believe that. I think that resonates with me pretty much. All fear is illusion. Sometimes it comes true, and then we're dealing with reality. But most of the time, our fear is just in our own head.
Okay, I'll stay for one more. I feel like I'm doing that thing where a girl's like, I need to leave, and she stays like an extra 2 hours.
Yeah, dude, this is what happens on live streams. I say to people, like yesterday, I was like, all right, I'll just be here for an hour. I'm losing my voice. I was here for 2 and a bit hours because it's just questions. And you guys are starting to ask really good questions, you guys and girls. Like, the questions are really freaking getting good. They're definitely improving in quality. When I say quality, I mean, like, how would you even define that? I don't know, deeper shit rather than the surface level stuff. Like, a lot of questions that we get from the audience, less so with the coaching clients because they understand this stuff. But a lot of the time, you guys in the audience will ask like surface level questions. Like, what do I say to a girl? Like, what words do I say? But you're now all starting to ask some of the deeper questions of like, all right, here's my big fucking fear. Here's what I'm actually afraid of. Like, here's the deep shit that I haven't told to a lot of people. Can you please help me with that? And that's the questions that we like. So yeah, that's why I stick around, bro. Some of these questions are really deep, really good.
Can I ask? There's one thing that's for you, which is Anzu. He's asking about unsatisfying relationships compared to current one. I know he's
I
asking
feel
you
like
that question.
I think you could answer that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I did a video about settling, like
Hmm.
a little while ago. That was quite, I think, one of my better videos. And I was saying like, yeah, like I mean, you know, if you're in a relationship you don't want to be in, like it's really, I don't think that feeling is like is difficult to work out. Do you know what I mean? Like I think you just
Yeah.
know, like you feel
Did it
resistance to
feel
seeing
wrong?
them.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes you
It
feel
feels
bored
like you're not
around them.
living. It feels like you're not living in integrity. It feels dishonest inside yourself. And how that manifests is guilt, shame, a feeling of missing out, a longing for something more. Like, I wish I had something else. I know this can't be all there is to life or relationships. This can't be it. Like that kind of feeling. Lots of people have that
There
feeling,
has
just
been,
not in
I could be happier. Yeah, I could be happier
yeah.
feeling, but like it's really strong. Like there's definitely a point where you're just like, I'm pretty happy right now. It's good. And then there's other times where you're like, and it's more like a long term feeling. It's not like it's not connected to your moods. That feeling, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah,
deep.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could do
It's
it
like
longer.
that
I guess you
quote.
could talk longer on that. Sorry, go on.
That quote. The vast majority of people live lives of quiet desperation. That's how it feels. It feels like you're desperate for something more, but it's quiet. It's like underneath. It's right on a deep level. And lots of people have that outside of relationships too, like just in terms of life. They know they could do more or be more or accomplish more, or they know they're not quite happy. And it's sort of a feeling of like, is this it? Like, is this life? Is this
Yeah, it's like
really?
you. I mean, it's like you,
Yeah,
isn't
go
it?
for it.
Like you've been in denial about you being gay for a long time now, and I feel like it must really be like, you know, coming up to a point. That's why that, like, a homeless guy calling you that, was it a homeless guy who called you this? You haven't told me the story.
This morning, he might have been homeless. He
Okay,
was going through some mental health issues. We'll phrase it like that.
was he using some stuff? Probably.
He may have been on some performance dehancing substances at the time. Yeah,
Did they
yes.
refer to that as ice? Is that referred to as ice?
Maybe. He was definitely struggling a little bit with happiness and peace.
We need to celebrate. We need to celebrate someone. Last comment, latest comment, most recent comment. Celebrate.
Which one?
The most
Where is
recent comment,
celebration?
Andy.
Oh, that one. SK. Hell yeah. That's a big one. That's cool. That's a good one. Cam can leave on that. That's really cool. You and I talk about this in the coaching a lot. We actually celebrate the little small wins like this. I would say as much as like if some guy goes out and has an amazing sexual experience or earns like $1,000 in a month or something. I think we care as much, maybe even more, about some guy who's like, all I could do was sit in a bar for 5 minutes and then I had to leave.
I mean, we did give someone like half of the coaching call to celebrate a threesome one time, so that isn't entirely true.
We care about the big things, but I think we do a pretty good job of celebrating the small things, because the small thing, I feel like you often have more fear about doing the first little baby step than like the big, massive, hey, I had a threesome today. Like by the time you're even ready to have a threesome, you know what's going to happen. Like, you know, you're going to achieve it one day. Like, you're already really far along in your self-improvement. But to like go to a bar for 5 minutes, you have no idea what's going to happen. You don't know if everything's going to be okay. Like, you don't know that if you just keep doing something and exposing yourself to it, you'll get more confident. Like, you don't have the skills of self-improvement yet. And SK, you might
The
have
sensory overload. Bars can be a lot for sensory overload. Yeah, especially if you're not.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I ever went to a club, like properly, and I just didn't know what to do with myself for like a lot of the night, and I just kind of hung around my friends, like looking for my friends all the time and standing next to them, just like awkwardly. You know, that's like it's just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like, I just kind of stand here.
Yeah.
What drink do I order? You know, like it's really weird. Like, you're just like, yeah. It is, if you, anyone who is into clubbing, you think back to when like you first went. Like, I think everyone had a similar experience of like, this is so much going on right now. But now I walk into a club and like I feel like it's boring almost. In fact, it's becoming more it's becoming more boring for me. Like there are some. I have to go to like a really good rave or like a really good venue now to be like, yeah, like I'm feeling this. Or the music has to be good. Like things have to be good now for me to like want to stay in these venues. If I walk in and I don't like the music and I don't like everything, I'm just like, I don't want to be in here. I'm gonna walk out again. You know. So yeah, I
Yeah.
have to be really like. But that's also because I'm old and like I'm tired and my back hurts. So that's like the main reason.
Speak for yourself, brother. Jesus.
All right, I'm gonna
Okay.
finish this mate and then I'll go. I've got like
All right.
a few more sips. Do you know what this is? Do you know what yerba mate is? Does anyone know? Anyone in the chat know what this is?
Yeah, it's from freaking Argentina and a bunch of South American countries.
Mm-hmm.
First time I tried it, I
It's
was like, that
very.
tastes
It's
like
like very.
dirt. And then I liked it. I like it now.
It, it's like a very. It's like a much more calming version of. It's like this coffee. It's caffeinated, so it will make you like. It will make you give you more energy, but in a way that coffee is like super like jagged and makes you feel like ugh. Whereas like the mate is like kind of calming at the same time as being caffeinated, which is nice.
Mm. Yeah, it's cool. My sister brought a big bag back because she lived in Argentina for a year and she was in Brazil for a while as well, and like Portugal, a bunch of countries around there. I know Portugal is
Yeah,
not around there,
Portugal
but
is
like,
near Brazil. Yeah.
yeah, I know. But I'm saying she lived around a bunch of like different like Portuguese speaking places, and yeah, it was cool. She learned a bit of Spanish too. She had fun. But yeah, she brought back this big fucking bag of the stuff. Did I ever tell you the story of how she went to like what she thinks is like a kingpin in like, was it Brazil, I think, or Colombia? One of these countries. And she was at some like, she was with her friend, and her friend took her like to some big massive mansion with like 6 pools and like security guards with like automatic rifles and shit. And she was like way out of her depth. And my sister was quite young at that point too. She was like 20 or something. She's like, where are we? What is this? Like, wow. This, and so she's like talking to the guy and she's like, wow, you have such a beautiful home. Like, I can't believe you have like a mega mansion with like all of this stuff. And he's like, oh, thank you. And like, then when they leave, like like a couple of days later, she's like, hey, how did he get, like, what work does he do? How does he have like so much money? Like, how does he afford that mansion and stuff? And she's like, oh, he's like the local like drug, like kingpin. And she was like, you didn't tell me that. And so like, I don't even know if my parents know that actually. Because she made me promise. She was like, you cannot tell mum and dad. And I was like, then why the fuck are you telling me? Why do I have to hold that burden now? I don't think my parents know that. Yeah. She was like, literally had
Well, you just revealed
like
it on
some drug
stream
law.
now.
I don't think my parents would care now. She's like 30.
She's stolen my story. I have a story like that
33.
in Mexico. I have a story like that in
Really?
Mexico. I've told you
Really?
this story, I feel. Yeah,
Really?
I was seeing this girl, and I was seeing this girl. It was like a first date, and I was going to bring her back. So I was like, might as well. Like, she was going really well. And she was like, yeah, I'll come back. And then as we were going to leave, we ran into one of her friends. Her friend was like, you should come to my house party. I'm having a house party. And we were like, okay. So we went to his house, and the party was like going on. It was like a 5-story mansion in the mountains, like with a massive view over the city. And there was like 6 security guards, and it was his dad was this huge fat dude with like the really hot trophy wife. And it was like, this looks very gangster. Like it feels very gangster. And we weren't allowed to go anywhere in the house without the bodyguards following us. And it was like, yeah, it was very odd. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Sorry, someone asked me if I could look at a question they asked. I don't know what you said. Where is it?
Yeah, I don't know what
You asked the question before.
is. By the way,
I'm also worried to be seen. I found it.
Questions.
I'm also worried to be seen as pathetic for some reason when I look back that I had to work so hard to get laid and made up for lost time. I don't know why I care so much, but it's like some people had it easy. You also get a lot of respect. Like, you get a lot of respect for like actually fucking trying to do stuff in your life, and like especially from other guys. You have no idea how many guys are struggling with this. Like the percentage of men that struggle with dating and relationships, like in their, it's I'd say the majority of men, at least at some point in their life. The guys who had success early will struggle later as well. Like, you'll see guys getting divorced. Like, the divorce rate's really high in a lot of places. People break up. Like, a friend of mine broke up. He'd been in a relationship with a girl since he was like 16. And so he's like 26 and single, has no idea what to do because he's been in a relationship since he was a teenager. So like, there's a lot of people that you think have it figured out. Just, they don't really have it figured out. They're just, they're comfortable in a relationship. And like they're good at that one relationship, but like throw them out into the water, they won't be as good. So like a lot of guys go through that stage of like, and some guys go through it early and some guys go through it later. It's nothing to be like, super ashamed of, And also like this whole like I had to work so hard, like you can attach a lot of like, you know, self-esteem to that, by the way. Like the fact that you worked hard, you made it a success, like you can attach a lot of like, you know, like on like a good version of pride, which is like, you know, self-esteem and how you feel, and like the resolve you build, the skills you learn that are transferable. Andy and I don't talk about as much as we used to, but like the transferable skills from dating are crazy. Like especially if you cold approach. Like if you can cold approach, you can sell. Like there's just that you can be a salesperson, because cold approaching like teaches you all of the emotional control, and like it's so much easier to call someone and try and sell them something than it is to go up to a hot girl and ask her for a number, in my opinion. And maybe some guys will disagree, but like I've done cold call and inbound sales, so I know like what the feels like. And because I've been doing cold approaching for 18 months before I got that job, I felt like I was so much better prepared for it than if I hadn't done that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but your feelings are valid, bro. Your feelings just make you a human being. Like Rishav, you say, I don't know why I care so much, because you're a human being and human beings care. Like, it's just that. It's like, yeah, but why me? Because you're a human being and human beings care about validation from other people. Like, you can work over that. You can work through that and transcend that, but that's why.
He also said, like, it's like some people had it easy. That's a story in your mind. Like, you do not know how easy or hard it is for other people. You have like a snapshot of their life, but you don't really know.
Yeah. Ask them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you find
even then they might not tell you the truth. Even then, that's the other thing. That's the other problem. But people don't want you to worry about them as well. So like, your friends won't tell you if you're struggling sometimes because they don't want you to worry.
Yeah,
that's the other problems as well. We have of getting that's the problem we have of getting accurate information. Like, you actually learn more by coming into our community, but you learn how guys are struggling way better by coming in and talking to me and Andy. Andy has like such a wide. Andy's coached like thousands of guys at this point, like in like across everything. So he's had a much better understanding of how men are doing than like just like randomly looking at YouTube videos or whatever.
And women too. Like you and I have been friends with lots of women, dated lots of women. We've heard about all their struggles too. So yeah. Do you want to stay or you want to go?
I've had enough. I finished my night. I got a date, so I gotta go.
Go have fun.
Peace.
I will see ya. I will work through all the rest of your questions. I have been saving all of your questions here, so I promise I won't miss any of them. Maybe we'll stick around for another, I don't know, I think I could do another 45 minutes, and if we don't get through all your questions, we can just answer them tomorrow. All right, let's start from the very top. So I'm going to go back to the very top. Some of this shit is from like an hour ago, but let's start making our way through. Blue Note says, Meetup isn't that popular in my country. There's plenty of other ways to meet people. I think Cam and I sort of covered that. You can cold approach people and be like, do you want to be my friend? You can find different websites where people organize meetups. You can go to sporting. Like, when I say sports, I mean like playing sport, like local football / like soccer meetups. Soccer and football is a very like social event. So is tennis. There'll be lots of stuff in your city or your country. Obvious Throwaway says, I'm a bit busy, but just here to bring back up the DIKW data information. All right, let's have a little look at this thing, pyramid, that you mentioned, because you mentioned it yesterday. Probably be useful to some overthinkers, as it offers perspective as to why doing nothing but collecting data is not going to get you anywhere. All right, what is this DIKW pyramid? Let's have a little look. We're all going to go on a little journey of exploration together. I have no idea what this is, but Obvious Throwaway has mentioned it twice now, so might be helpful. What is this fucking pyramid? Represents the relationships between data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. Okay? Each building block is a step towards a higher level. First comes data, then information, then you understand that information, and then you become, yep, fine, I understand all this so far. Brilliant. Yeah, this makes sense to me. I'm assuming it makes sense to all of you looking. At the very bottom is just raw data about something. And then above that, you start to get a little bit of information about that data. And then you start to feel like you're starting to know a little bit, but you're still at this point knowing about it. Like almost theoretically. And then wisdom is really knowing it, like becoming it. So wisdom is what we're all trying to sort of gain, or what we're all trying to work towards. And you only really get wisdom by doing the thing and becoming it. So you could sort of look at this whole pyramid as, at the start, you want something, like you desire a goal, and then you move up into doing, like you take action, and then you move up into having, like you have some results, you have a sex life, or you have some money, and then at the very top, you move up into becoming. You become the thing. You are now the guy who has sex. You are now the player, or you're now the loving husband, or you're now the businessman. So it's basically the same pyramid as this, or basically the same process. So you go from wanting to doing to having to becoming. And that final stage is you become the thing. It becomes a habit. It becomes ingrained. It's something that you are. You're the person that gets laid. It's just who you are. Or you're the person that helps other people. It's just who you are. So yeah, this all makes sense. Thanks for sharing this obvious throwaway. It's like very similar. I know it goes on to say, like, how do you move up from each part of that, like each step of that pyramid. So if anyone else is interested, you can search for this pyramid. It's just called the DIKW pyramid. But yeah, it's I already talk about this. I already have a conceptualization of this as the wanting, then doing, then having, then becoming, like, stage. And lots of people have talked about that, by the way. Let me get a big fat book for you all to look at. Look at this big fat book, which I have not fully read, but I know what it's about and I know the concepts in it. It's called The 3 Ages of the Interior Life. It's an ancient, like, Christian spiritual book, and you don't have to be Christian. I'm not religious in any way, but it's really, really, really big, fat, heavy book about exactly what I just said. That at the start you want something, and in this guy's case, the guy that wrote this book, he wanted to evolve spiritually and religiously. He wanted to be closer to God, or his conception of God. And so he wanted that at the start. Then he starts doing and taking a lot of action. Then he starts to have results in terms of religion and spirituality and connection to God and the universe and all of that. And then at the very top, he becomes that thing. There is also another book called The 12, it's called The Interior Castle. It's another Christian spiritual book. This is something I bring up Christianity because a lot of Christian mystics who make big old books like this talk about this. So they're basically talking about the data, information, knowledge, wisdom pyramid, or they're talking about, wanting, then doing, then having, then becoming. David Hawkins talks about all of this. Byron Katie talks about all of this. Lots of people throughout the history of humans have talked about this. So different ways of phrasing the same thing. But thanks for sharing that, man. That's really cool. I like that. That's a really cool, like, interesting conception. Rishav, you said just now, thanks for taking the question. Andy and Cam, means a lot, loving these streams. Appreciate you being here, brother. Appreciate the great questions that you're asking. Like I said, we'll always try and answer all of your questions. I feel like this goes without saying, but I'll repeat it. If any of you want, like, better help, I can obviously help you 10,000 times better on a coaching call. So I have those $200 coaching calls, and they go for as long as we need to. They can go for a couple hours if we need to. I don't put a limit on the time. And the coaching program, I can obviously help you the most. I can do a decent job with helping all of you on these live streams, but, like, we can't really go back and forth. Like, not properly. It's not the same as a proper conversation. It's not the same as, like, actually being able to see each other and having, like, a couple hours just dedicated to you. So I have those calls. They're probably, like, the best place to start with is just the, like, $200 calls. I'll put a little link. I'll put it in the chat. There you go. I'll put the link to those in the chat, but they're also in the description of every video. And happy to talk through all this stuff. But yeah, man, we try and coach you on these things as best we can. I think we're doing a decent enough job. We're doing the best we can. Rishav, okay, so you asked, I'm curious, after you have your nudes online, were there any consequences? Yeah, but positive consequences. Now, I know that's not what you're asking, but that's because our brains often fear things, don't they? And often we get so caught up in the negative possible consequences. Like, we're so afraid of, like, what if something bad happens? What if, like, a potential employer sees it? What if your family sees it? What if someone tries to, like, blackmail you for your fucking nudes or something? Like, what if someone judges your penis size? Like, we're so focused, our brains automatically assume the worst and fear the worst, because that's just a survival mechanism. It's not good or bad. It's just the way that our brain is by default. And you can train it to start thinking of the positive consequences. I call this playing to win. That's the play to win video course, is literally training you on how to, by default, look for the positive possible consequences. But yeah, funnily enough, have there been any unwanted consequences or negative consequences? No. Have I had people tell me, your dick is small, you're ugly? But yes, of course. But like, that's only made me stronger. That helps me be more stoic. So that's helpful. That's a gift. At first, it doesn't feel like a gift to have someone tell you that your cock is small. No, that hurts. But then you work through that, and then you're like, yeah, maybe I have a small cock. Maybe I have a big cock. Who fucking gives a shit? I like me, and I like my cock, and I like my body. So no, there's been no negative consequences. Now, have there been a bunch of positive consequences? Oh my God, yes. Do you know how many women have slept with me or with me and Emmy and taken nude photography, like been in our nude photo shoots or done nude like videos, like sex videos, like porn videos with us because I have nudes out there of me and of Emmy and of girls that we sleep with that are happy for that to be out there. You know, I make it clear, like, this is where it's going. Are you comfortable with that? At any point you can tell me and I'll delete them. And some women have. They've hit me up like a year or two later. Would you mind deleting all of that stuff from your website? Hell yeah, of course I will. Like, so yes, there has been a lot of positive consequences. A lot of women go, wow, that's really brave of you. And they say that to Emmy as well. Wow, that's really brave of you to put all that stuff out there. I think I'd like to do something like that. Like, I think I'm inspired to be in one of these nude photo shoots. I'd like to not show my face. So is that possible? Of course it is. But I think I'd like to put myself out there. Or I'd like to come on your podcast and talk about sex, because I've never really shared that in public because I'm really scared to do that. But I think I want to. We've had a few women do that. So yeah, there's been positive consequences. There's been a lot of men that have seen that and be like, wow, if this like guy can put his body on the internet, maybe I don't need to be so caught up in my own like body dysmorphia or disliking my body or feeling ashamed or thinking my penis is too small. I've literally had a couple of guys email me and say, you know, Andy, I had this idea that you must have some big, massive cock and like you must be the most amazing guy in the world, but your body is like okay and your penis is like average. You actually made me feel better about myself, and I feel like I can go out there and have the sex life I want. I don't need some giant massive penis that I see in porn. So like, thank you, Andy, that helped me. So yeah, I've had a lot of positive consequences, man. I can't think of any like negative consequences. And even if I did have negative consequences, they would help make me stronger, wouldn't they? They would be a blessing. You know, I literally told you guys a story at the start of today's stream that some guy was swearing at me and being quite verbally aggressive, and how that was incredibly beautiful. And I'm grateful for that guy. And I'm glad that he did that. And thank you to him for showing me or reminding me of all the things I can be grateful for in my life, like mental health and happiness and all of that. So yeah. Expert Cheek Clapper said, I was out in town and I said, hey, how's it going? With a big smile to a couple that I thought that I knew. It turns out it wasn't them, but they still smiled back. I walked off, but it was a nice interaction. Yeah, so a couple of quotes about this. Let me find some quotes. Mother Teresa has a bunch of quotes that I love about smiling. My favorite one is like, we never know all the good that can come from a simple smile. Like, you might have really made that couple's day. Like, maybe they go and have a beautiful day and they're like, hey, some guy was like nice to us. And now maybe they go on and pass that on to someone else. It's almost like a domino effect. Another good quote from Mother Teresa, peace begins with a smile. Another good one, let us always meet each other with a smile. Yeah, she wrote a bunch of like, or she said a bunch of quotes about smiling, but beautiful thing, man. I love that. I try and smile at as many people as I can a day, maybe like 50 or 100 people. I will give lots of positive comments to people. I'll tell them that I like their shirt or I like their shoes, or if I see a mother or a father that's struggling with their kid or their kid's like crying a lot, I'll say like, hey, I just want you to know you're doing a really good job. Like, I'll give the guy this morning that was like swearing at me and stuff. I was like, would you like anything from, is there anything I can do for you? Like, are you okay? Like, just little bits like that can like really help people. So yeah. Okay. Blue Note. So you asked this question before and I feel like we only half answered it. So you basically said, Andy, are you interested in doing interviews, collaborations with other people who are like, I guess, doing similar stuff to me? That's probably what you're saying. Like, are you interested in collaborating? Like, yes and no at the same time. So as Cam said, you probably don't know what a collaboration is like if you're not a YouTuber or you've never done it yourself. Like, it is a little bit of like going back and forwards and like figuring out like what time works for you. What about this? What about that? Fuck, now I can't make it. I'm sorry. Can we reschedule? Like there's all of that stuff. And that's not like a massive amount of work. But then on top of that, there's the editing afterwards, and pretty much every collaboration or interview needs to be edited. Like I am very versed in being able to sit down and just talk at the camera in a video, like, and I don't edit. But that took me a lot of practice, and that is not how the vast majority of people do their content. Some people do, but that is like not how most people do it. They edit, they cut, and all of that. So most of the time when I collab with someone, they're not ready to just go and talk for like an hour and then that's it. And we don't need to edit it. When that happens, it feels like a beautiful blessing. I'm going to say that happens maybe 10 to 15% of the time, that I feel like, wow, I don't have to edit that collaboration at all. So there's the editing, which doesn't take a massive amount of time, but it is like a day or two of editing afterwards, which is fine. I'm happy to do that. But on top of that, it's the other little hidden things that you don't think about. Like, I can see that you've recommended someone here, Blue Note, and I'll probably check her stuff out afterwards. I had a quick flick through and looked at some of the titles of her videos. But when you guys suggest something to me, which I really appreciate, by the way, it's really cool of you, when you say like, hey, why don't you collab with this person? I can't tell you how many times someone has mentioned that I should, or they say, why don't you collaborate with this person? I'll be like, okay, cool. Let's go check this person out. I'll go to their channel and there are videos of like, do whatever it takes to get laid, like fuck women, like don't care about them. And I'll go like, okay, well, let's keep an open mind here. I'll watch like 5 minutes of a video and they're like, yeah, it's a tough world out there for men. Like, bitches be having an easy fucking life, and like fresh and fit, for instance, as the first one that comes to mind, or Andrew Tate. I have been encouraged by people to like reach out to Andrew Tate and see if he'd like to do an interview with you. Reach out to like Fresh and Fit. And nothing against those guys. I have nothing but love in my heart for them. But like, no fucking way in hell am I. We just don't align. My mindsets do not align with fuck women and like don't care about them and all of that. That's just like not the mindset. And that's me being a bit reductionist. Like those people have more to say than just that. But like that is a deal breaker for me. Like that's right there enough of a deal breaker. And again, nothing against them. That isn't a judgment, but I just don't want to collab with them. And so a lot of the time you guys and girls will say, why don't you collab with this person? What you don't see is then I need to go, or I want to go and watch that person's videos and go through a whole bunch of their stuff. And like, I'm not just going to, because you said to, and this is nothing against you. Again, I really appreciate all these things that you guys suggest to me. But just because you suggest something doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to line up with my preferences, my principles, and all of that. Like, you don't know what a lot of my principles and preferences are because they're in my head. And so there's a lot of like behind the scenes work basically that goes into collabing, at least the way that I do it. I don't just indiscriminately collaborate with anyone. And if people want to do that, great, brilliant. Like lots of people are very open-minded. It's one of the reasons why I like someone like Joe Rogan, who will just have fucking anyone on his podcast. I respect the shit out of that. But the way that I like to do it is finding people that I connect with on certain principles, and then we collab on those principles. We talk about that stuff. And so all of this big, long rant said, I think maybe the suggestion here, like maybe what's useful, if any of you want me to collab with someone, and like Blue Note, you go on to specifically mention a woman here called Girlfriend Guide for Guys. And I did flick through a little bit of her channel, 20 minutes ago. I had a little look at some of the titles. If you think that someone would be helpful for me to collab with, what might be more helpful here is if you reach out to that person and say, would you like to collaborate with Andy? And if they want to collaborate with me, they can, reach out to me or send me an email or something, and then we can tee something up. I guess what I'm saying here is I'm at a point where I'm pretty comfortable in my content and the way we do things, that I don't necessarily feel a massive need to put in all the work to collaborate with other people. I'll phrase it like that. Like it's a little bit of research the way I do it. I go and research people. If someone from another channel was to reach out to me and say, Andy, I'm Girlfriend Guide for Guys. I've looked through a few of your videos, Andy, and I think we actually have a similar mindset on these like 5 different philosophies or principles. Would you like to collab and talk about those? Then I'm like, fuck yeah. And sometimes I've had people like Playing with Fire is one of those like a best example of that. Someone who watches a couple of my videos, like they do the research and they do the work. I'm basically saying I don't want to do the work because I'm quite comfortable with where my channel is. They do the work and they say, I've watched these 5 videos of yours, Andy, and I think we are similar in these topics. Do you want to collab? Then I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. And then I'll double check a couple of their videos to make sure like we can talk about those principles, or like there's enough substance there that we could have an interesting conversation. So yeah, Bruno, if you want to, I flicked through her channel a little bit, like I said, and I like the titles of her videos, but I myself am probably not going to go and watch like 5 of her videos and 10 of her videos and do a couple of hours of research to see if we would collab and then reach out to her and say, hey, I'd like to collab. Like I personally am comfortable enough where I am right now that I don't want to do that. But if you want me to collab with her, reach out to her and ask her if she's willing to do that reverse process. Like see if she's willing to go through some of my videos, watch a couple, see if we would connect on something, and then come on. I would absolutely collab with her. Like I flick through some of her videos. I just am saying that like I'm not interested in doing the work. Like, does that make sense? I think I've made sense. At least that makes sense to me. Yeah, so Blue Note, to be very clear, like you just said here, you get that it's a lot involved with setting such things. I'll phrase it like this. I'm very happy with the growth of my channel, how much we're helping people and all of that, that I no longer feel the need to put in that work myself to reach out to someone else and research them and collab, like reach out for the collab. But if someone else came to me, having already done that work, absolutely, I would collab with them. Absolutely. Like, absolutely. So yeah, I do less of the work of like setting up and researching and all of that, but occasionally someone will reach out to me and be like, hey, I think we align with stuff. And then I'll go check and I'll be like, yeah, sure, let's do a little collab together. So yeah, like reach out to her if you want to, brother. Like from the titles and the videos that she's doing, it seems like she's doing very similar content to what we talk about here. Looks like she's genuinely trying to help men. She looks like, at least from the titles, that she's compassionate and kind and all of that. So I would happily collab with her if she wants to reach out to me. I guess what I'm saying is like in a funny way, this is going to sound like a funny way of saying it. I feel like I have enough abundance with the channel and with money and with content. And the channel is in a position where it's continually growing itself just as a consequence of me existing and helping all of you. It feels like when we talked, you know, that pyramid that, was it you that talked about the pyramid? No, it was obvious throw away. That pyramid that I showed, the data, information, knowledge, wisdom pyramid, or what I said, wanting, doing, having, becoming, like that stage. It feels like, at least with the channel, I'm at the point of like becoming, like, or I've already become the chat. What I'm trying to say here is I feel like the channel growth is working pretty well on its own. I'm always open to more growth. I'm probably just not going to put a shitload of effort into collabing and going viral and all of that, because I trust that it will just keep doing its own thing. Like I'm at the point where I don't really have to do much to keep my sex life growing and evolving. I don't really have to do much to keep the business growing and evolving. And I think because I hustled so fucking hard for about 3 or 4 years, probably 4 years on the business and growing the channel and all of that, like I really, really, really hustled. I'm at a point where it feels nice to just kind of chill a little bit. I guess I'm in a chill stage of the channel. And so again, Blue Note, dude, yeah, you said you're going to reach out to her and ask her. Hell yeah, bro, if she gets in contact with me and she wants to do this thing, I probably will say yes. Like you can even tell her that. You can tell her, I already checked out her channel and it's probably a yes, but get her to reach out to me because I'm enjoying being chill. Fabiano says, hey, Andy, how can I phase or phrase rejection after a so-called rejection from cold approach and app dates? As an example, how can I... Well, I mean, you just did it. It's funny that you're asking me a question. You just answered your own question. You're like, how can I rephrase rejection to basically be a good thing? Like, how can I stop seeing it as a negative? And then you said, is this an example? I can say, thank you, woman, for clarifying that you're not my match. Now I can get closer to finding it. Yeah, you just did it. Good job. Bro, look at you solving your own problems. You don't even need me. And that's one of the goals of my channel. Like literally, one of the goals, I will literally state this out loud to all of you. My goal with this channel is to show you or get you to a point or just show you that you don't need me, that the answers are within you, and they were within you the entire time. You just thought you needed some random fucking expert on the internet or some other person to tell you what to do. Like, you didn't trust your own answer, and you didn't trust that even if you make a mistake, it would be okay. You'd figure it out. You'd be fine. Like, you think you need me. A lot of you think you need me, and you think you need other content creators and coaches, and we can definitely help you. Like, let's be clear, I can speed things up for you. But if I wasn't here and there was no one to help you, you would just go out and try a bunch of stuff. You'd make a bunch of mistakes and failures. They wouldn't be failures or mistakes. They'd be learning lessons, but you'd eventually figure it out. Like, you would. It would take way longer. And that is my purpose, is to speed that up for you. But yeah, look at Fabiano. Beautiful example of like, oh, wait, I solved my own problem. Is this okay? Yes, it is. What a great solution. Good job. Yeah, you can turn it around and say, hey, I'm glad that this woman said no to me, because now I'm closer to the one who'll say yes. Imagine if I spent time with this woman who didn't really want to be with me, but she just felt bad about rejecting me. And there are plenty of women, there are plenty of people that feel bad about rejecting you, so they won't. They'll just say yes to you. And then you'll have sex with them once, and then they'll never fucking see you again. And you'll be like, why didn't she see me again? It's like, because she didn't really want to have sex. She kind of just did because she didn't know how to say no. She didn't really know what she wanted. She didn't have strong boundaries. She felt like she would be a bitch if she said no to you. She thought she would hurt your feelings. So she didn't say no, but she fucked you. And then she kind of not regretted it, but she's like, oh, I don't really want to do that again. And then she just never contacted you again. Like, life is so much easier if you find the people that are a fuck yes. Like, they're really excited and they go, fuck yes, Fabiano, I want to date you. Those are the people that stick around a little bit longer, or a lot longer. And so we're looking for the enthusiastic people. So yeah, Fabiano, you answered your own question, brother. Beautifully done. Really well done. Y says, I always tell myself that I cannot build a time machine, so I cannot change the past. Yeah, so this is in regards to like stressing about the past and having regret. It's like, I can't fix it, so let's just deal with the now. Like, the past might have consequences that you are now dealing with, and that's when people feel regret. But it's like, all right, I'm dealing with the consequences of the past. I made decisions in the past, and now there are consequences right now. Let's get to work. Let's fucking do it. What do we have to do? Let's deal with the consequences. But sitting there regretting it and going, I should have done something different. Why did I do this? You're just wasting time that you could be spending right now improving it or working on it or letting go of it or whatever else. So, yeah. Joseph actually says, to be honest, on that note, so on the note of like regretting, I have this thought that the damage has already been done. The past has already been done, and there might be consequences from that. So we could even say it's a semi-true statement. What you're saying, the damage has already been done. I wouldn't use the word damage because that makes it sound like it's fucked, it's unfixable. There are consequences from choices that you made in the past. 100%, of course there are. Yeah. I hurt someone when I was 19. Then I went to prison. That was the consequence. When I was sitting in prison, it's like I was very tempted to say the damage has already been done. My life is over. I'm now a criminal. People are going to judge me for that. I hurt someone and I have to deal with the guilt of that. There are consequences for the choices that I made. Now let's deal with them. So yes, it is sort of a correct statement to say the damage has been done. It's not damage, but there are consequences, brother, for the choices that we made. Let's deal with those consequences. Let's get to work. You're going to say, I wanted to connect to people when I was a teenager and I wanted to date, but I couldn't. Now I'm still young and I still can't really do those things. So is that true that you can't really do those things? I would play around with that a little bit. I can't do these things. Is that true? Just explore that. You don't have to answer that right now, but go away and sit in a park or something and say like, I can't do those things. Is that true? And just sit with that for a couple of days or maybe a week or so. Something else you wrote here, socializing is just tiring. You can play around with that. You're right now, maybe you don't realize this, but you're saying socializing is tiring and that's bad. Play around with the concept a little bit. Again, I would do this on your own and say like, something being tiring, does that automatically mean it's bad? Like, why does something being tiring have to be bad? It just means I'll be tired afterwards. So have a fucking nap. Lay down a little bit. Do baby steps of socializing instead of trying to do too much. If you're feeling tired or exhausted, you're probably just trying to do everything all at once. You're probably trying to do a lot of socializing. So what if you do 1/10 as much socializing? Would that be 1/10 as tiring? Maybe you'd feel fine afterwards. You go, oh shit. It's like if you go to the gym for your first workout and you try and like max bench press, max squat, max deadlift, max everything. You're just like working in there for 3 hours. And then you come home and you're like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. I can't move for the next 5 days. I can't get out of bed. Going to the gym is tiring. It's like, no, going to the gym and trying to max everything out is tiring. And even if it's tiring, that's okay. You just relax for the next 5 days. If you say, but I don't want to have to be in bed for the next 5 days. Okay, next time you go to the gym, just like do some fucking bicep curls for 10 minutes and then leave. Is that tiring? And you go, no, that's easy. Do that then and slowly build up your work capacity. What you're talking about here is work capacity. You right now might not have built the capacity to do a lot of socializing. It might exhaust you. You might not have a lot of fuel in the tank. So just don't do as much next time. You haven't built up that work capacity, that socializing capacity. Like for me, Andy, it is right now very easy for me to go outside and talk to like 100 people. I could just do that. I basically do that every day. When I say talk to, I just mean a little conversation here and there. Hi, how's your day going? Hey, how's it going, man? Hey, what's up? Hey, I like those shoes. Like that kind of shit. I could do that with 100 people a day, probably like 500 people a day. And I'd find that fun. Now, if we go back 10 or 20 years, especially when I was depressed and suicidal, going outside and walking to the mailbox to get my letters was exhausting. Going to the supermarket was like, I could only do that once a week and I had to work up the courage to do that. That was tiring. And so you just haven't built up the work capacity yet. So do a little bit less. Like literally, this is one of those times where it's like, just do less, brother. Like you don't have to socialize all at once, man. Just do less and build up that work capacity. The Dozer Boy says, this was earlier, like an hour ago. Good advice. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Cam. Appreciate you, bro. Expert Cheek Clapper says, celebrating 33 days of being porn free by buying a lock picking set. It's my autistic focus. Okay, so I'll be honest with you. A while ago, a couple of years ago, I got really into lock picking and I was obsessed with a channel called the Lock Picking Lawyer. Type in the chat, any of you who watch that channel, shout out to the Lock Picking Lawyer. And I bought my own lock picking set and I learned I could only do a couple of the basic lock picks. And I honestly got to a point where I would go around with my lock picking set in my pockets all the time. And I started like trying to pick locks, like random, not people's doors and shit like that, because that felt fucked up. But if I would like see a padlock, just like sometimes people put padlocks on like bridges and stuff like that, and they'll write their names on it. They'll be like, they write their initials and they write the person that they love and they'll lock it onto a bridge. I would like pick some of them and I'd unlock it and I'd be like, yeah, I got it. And then I'd lock it back and keep it there. And I got to a point where I was just wanting to lockpick everything. And then I was tempted, like, what if I lockpick someone's bike just to see if I could? I don't want to steal their bike. What if I lockpick like someone's front door just to see if I could? And that thought was in my brain. And I was like, all right, maybe I'm going down a rabbit hole that I don't want to go down. I don't want to be having the thoughts of like, do I want to lockpick someone's house? So then I kind of let it go. But I think I could still jimmy a lock and do all that kind of stuff. It was really fun. It was genuinely really fun. Lockpicking is such a cool skill. If you ever lock yourself out of your house too. I also had this secret like fantasy of like maybe one day I'll accidentally. I literally would carry around my lockpicking kit in case I accidentally locked myself out of my house, which never happened. I don't think I've ever locked myself out of my house, but I secretly hoped that I would meet someone. I would literally have fantasies of what if I'm like walking around and I see someone that's locked themselves out of their apartment and I'm like, hey, listen, I'm actually a lockpicker. I got you. And then I would let them into their house. But yeah, back in the day. Thanks for the trip of nostalgia, brother. Yeah, man. Expert Cheek Clapper. I watched an 80s movie called Willow. Let's have a look at this movie while I'm reading out your comment. Willow. And it's definitely a self-improvement film. I love movies like that. I love like self-improvement focused movies. It's about a dwarf who's a bad magician. But by the end of the movie, he's a top G sorcerer who defeats an evil witch. That's cool. I might watch this. I have this like long list of TV shows and movies and all of this. Also, is it a movie? Because I just searched for it and it's a TV show. Maybe there's a movie and a TV show about it. But yeah, I love movies and TV shows about self-improvement. I have a big long list of movies that I might get around to watching at some point. I might add this to the list. One of my favorite self-improvement movies. I've brought it up a little bit before, but it's called Brittany Runs a Marathon. One of my favorite and one of the most realistic, I think, self-improvement movies I've ever seen. Really, 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 really good. I really liked it. And I'll show it on the screen here while we talk. It's literally about this woman who's like morbidly obese, and her doctor's basically like, look, you're really fat, you're really unhealthy. And she's like, I'm not fat. And he's like, oh, did you do you, did you not realize you're fat? Like, you're morbidly obese. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be a dick, but like, you're morbidly obese. Like, you are fat. You're past the definition of fat. I'm sorry to be a dick, but like, you're unhealthy. Like, you're pre-diabetic. Like, you're not doing so good. Like, if you keep this up, because she drinks a lot, she binge eats all of it. She doesn't live a healthy lifestyle. I think she smokes as well. And the doctor's like, look, I can't promise you that you'll have a long, healthy life. Like, he's blunt, but he's trying to help. And so at that point, she's like, fuck, man, maybe I'll start walking. And so she starts walking, and then she's like, fuck, man, what if I start jogging? And then she meets a few people. It's really difficult at first. Like, the movie literally shows you that self-improvement isn't always a walk in the park, and that sometimes it can be really hard at the start. And you have moments where you take a step back, and then you feel like quitting. And you have a moment where, you know, it's no longer fun, and you're like, I'm not getting the results that I wanted as quickly as I wanted. Like, this movie deals with everything that all of you guys and girls go through in your own self-improvement journeys. It even deals with like what happens when friends and family start criticizing you and feeling almost envious of you working on this new goal, and they try and pull you down, and like old habits and old friendship circles pulling you back down and stopping you from succeeding. It also talks about like people that care about you and needing to ask for help and not doing things alone, and how difficult that can be. It deals with the embarrassment of sucking at your goal, because she fucking sucks at running at the start. She's like morbidly obese. She's not going to be good at it. And the thing I like most about this movie is the actress. So two things I like about this movie. The guy that made the movie, that wrote it and directed it, it's the first movie he's ever written, first movie he's ever directed, his first movie. It was literally inspired because his actual roommate and friend in real life did what's in this movie. It is literally a story that he wrote about his roommate. He was like, I'm morbidly obese. I want to run a marathon. I don't think that's possible. Everyone's going to laugh at me, but like, I want to do it. And so he literally wrote a screenplay about her, and made a movie. It's his first movie ever. It's pretty successful. It has good ratings. It's a really great movie. And I found that amazing. But then the second thing that I love about this movie is, if you look at this picture up the top right hand, you know, that's her when she's morbidly obese. The actress that played her was literally obese, and through the filming of this movie, lost weight. And you actually see it throughout the movie. And it's not really called attention to. They don't really call a lot of attention to it. But there were a couple of scenes where it's like the movie's progressing in the timeline, and I was like, wait, she looks skinnier, like a lot skinnier. And the movie doesn't call a lot of attention to it, but like, yeah, over the first half of the movie, I was like, wait, is she like, she's like definitely losing weight. Like, she's actually losing weight. How have they done this? Like, they've done a really good job of putting a fat suit on her or whatever. And then I looked it up afterwards, and they're like, no, the actress like literally was inspired, and she didn't plan to. And the director specifically told her, you don't need to lose weight. It's fine. You don't have to. Like, the movie isn't so much about losing weight. It's about self-improvement and making friends and connection and, you know, working on yourself and loving yourself. But she was so inspired by the story of the woman that the movie's about. And she was inspired by like actually filming the fucking movie, that she did literally lose weight. And right at the end, the actress actually ran in a marathon. She didn't complete the marathon, full disclosure, but she did actually run in the actual real Boston Marathon, like the actual actress. So yeah, she lost a ton of weight too. The actress lost like a shitload of weight. So that's my favorite little rant about one of my favorite self-improvement movies, which has a lot of backstory to it of like actresses self-improving and based on a real self-improvement story. It's just a really beautiful movie. It's like really, really, really cool. I like it a lot. Cola, you say, isn't Rocky the ultimate self-improvement movie? Dude, that's funny you say that, because that was literally in my head when I was thinking of self-improvement movies. I was thinking of Rocky. Yeah, Rocky is like literally the underdog self-improvement story. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think it's a very much a like fighting your demons, overcoming hurdles, believing in yourself, having people support you, all of that. And to be very clear, there's lots of self-improvement movies. I wonder if we search for self-improvement movies, If there's like a list, surely there's got to be a list. The Pursuit of Happiness is a self-improvement movie. Good Will Hunting, that's a self-improvement. It's like a mindset overcoming. I wouldn't call that so much self-improvement. I'd more call that like overcoming mindsets and mental health movie. Yes Man, okay, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. Cam and I are obsessed with that movie. It's got Jim Carrey in it. It's basically, so it's this movie right here. It's basically a guy says, my life kind of sucks. I'm used to saying no all the time. What if I just try saying yes to everything and all the beautiful stuff that happens because of that? So that's a good movie. What else we got here? I Am Not Your Guru, Tony Robbins. Yeah, I'm sure there's lists if we Google like self-improvement and life-changing movies. But yeah, cool. Rocky is probably the most like commonly referred to one or commonly mentioned. Rishav says, I want to be wild like a stereotypical South Delhi girl, an equivalent to a valley girl in terms of stereotypes. Then go be wild, brother. Like nothing's stopping you. It's just our own limiting beliefs most of the time. SK says, my goal is to make friends at 22. Have 0 friends right now. I'm in my last year of uni. When I was 28, I had like literally 0 friends. And my very first friend was a guy called Timor, who's still my friend now. And yeah, I know how it feels to have literally 0 friends, believe me. I also completely started again in terms of friends after I came out of prison. And yeah, I know how it feels, but I promise you can make friends, man. It's a lot easier than you think. Like you might have a lot of fears and doubts and emotions and all of that, but I guess what I'm saying is you can do it a lot quicker than you think. Like we've had lots of people that come to the coaching group that have literally 0 friends, like literally 0 friends. And I say, is it really 0 or are you just sort of like saying it's 0? Do you actually have like no one that you could text right now who would grab a beer with you or hang out with you? And they're like, no, like literally I have 0 friends. So I promise you, if all of them can make friends, you can too. And a lot of them do it a lot quicker than they think or than they thought it would take. Like within a month, they're like, holy shit, I have like 3 friends. And you're like, yeah, good job. And so just work on getting 1 friend and then 2 and then 3 and then see how you feel after that, dude. But yeah. All right, let's keep reading. We are starting to catch up. Cola says, I feel like I'm behind in life. So behind compared to who? I've talked about this a lot, but there's probably a lot of people that you're behind, and then there's a lot of people that you're ahead of. And so we can compare ourselves to the ones that we're behind, and then we feel shit. We can compare ourselves to the people that we're ahead of, and then maybe we feel good, but we also feel ego and pride. It doesn't necessarily feel great to compare yourself to other people and be like, I'm better than them. It feels good temporarily, but it's not ultimately satisfying. And so at some point we go, okay, maybe the only person I'm going to compare to is my past self. Am I ahead of where I was like 5 years ago? If the answer is yes, brilliant. Good job. You're on the right pathway. Keep improving. If the answer is no, if you genuinely feel like, I think I'm going backwards, okay, then we change something and we say, what would I need to do in order to feel like I'm making progress? Like, what do I need to change right now so that 1 year from now, I look back and I go, wow, I'm ahead of who I was a year ago. And then just change those things. Take little baby steps, start really small. You don't have to do everything all at once. But yeah, you don't have to compare. You're allowed to compare yourself to others, but it often just makes you feel bad. So compare yourself to who you want to be or who you were in the past. And just realize that you're on a pathway, you're on a goal. Other people are doing their own shit, brother. There will always be people that are ahead of you. There will always be people that are behind you. And that's beautiful. They're doing their journey. They're doing their shit. You know, you're doing yours. Fabiano says, regarding the point about capacity, so I was talking about working up like your work capacity and how much you're able to do. You say, regarding this point about capacity, when I first started day game, so talking to women outside during the day, I thought that it wasn't possible to talk to more than 1 woman a week without feeling exhausted. I know, right? Dude, I thought if I could just like hit on 1 woman a month or something, that would be like amazing. Like literally. And then at some point, I got to a point where I was doing like 1 approach a day. Like I literally every day, I'm going to go hit on 1 woman. And I was like, wow, this is all I can do. This is taking everything out of me. And then I had a couple of days where I'd talk to like 15 women and hit on them. And I was like, wow, what the hell? And then I would see coaching clients that were like doing way more than that than I was. You know, I got to a point where about 17, 15, I think 17 was the most I ever hit on in 1 day. And I was like, I'm happy with this. Like, I know I could have pushed further than that, but I was like, no, this feels good. I'm happy with this. But I saw coaching clients that would do crazy shit. I had one guy that did 124 women in one day, as in directly hit on. You're pretty. Are you single? 124 women in a day. And fun story about that. We actually did that together. He was like, "Would you help me with this?" And I was like, "Bro, if you pay me like, I think back then I was pretty cheap back then. I was like, if you pay me $100, I will sit on a fucking call with you for as long as it takes. I don't give a shit if it takes 16 hours. Spoiler alert, it took about 12 hours and it was overnight too. So it was his daytime in America. I just stayed up all night until like 3 in the morning or some shit. And I just stayed with him. He paid me, like I said, $100, and I was just with him the whole time. We were texting for a while. We were on the phone for a little bit. Like, I was just with him the entire time, and he would tell me every woman. He'd be like, "All right, I did one. It went well. All right, on to the next. Okay, I got this." And I gave him pep talks. I got him to take a little lunch break and chill, and I gave him motivation the entire time. It was really fun. It was actually really fun. I really enjoyed that. But that shows you what's possible. And a lot of the time, people will compare themselves to that then, and they'll go, "Oh my God, all I can do is one approach a week. I'm pathetic." Or, "I have no friends right now, and everyone else has a lot of friends." Or, "I don't have any money, and everyone else is like a millionaire by 25. And it's very easy to get, like, I guess, to compare yourself to people that have a bigger capacity than you. But it can be helpful to look into those people's story and their history, and you'll see that even the people that are doing amazing, big, huge things and going out there and being millionaires or having a ton of sex or having a beautiful relationship, whatever it is, those people probably started, or I will tell you, all of those people started exactly where you are right now. So, yeah, thanks for sharing this, man. It's funny how, like, you go on to say capacity does increase, like, a lot. Rishav says, "Andy, please watch this Indian movie called, I can't even begin to pronounce that, Bahag, Milka Bahag." I probably completely butchered that. I can't promise you I'll watch it, but I do love Indian movies. Did you ever watch a movie? It's just called like RRR, like RRR, the letter R 3 times. That was like my favorite fucking Indian movie. My God, bro, that was like for any of you that haven't watched Indian movies, like, most Indian movies are fucking crazy in a way that like Hollywood just never does. Like, Western movies just don't do a lot of the like very unusual, very weird, very cool things that Indian movies do. Like, Indian movies, just, I swear to God, every fucking Indian movie I've ever watched, out of nowhere, they'll just start singing and dancing. And yes, I know in Western movies we have like musicals, and Disney and Pixar and all of that love to sing. But like, I swear to God, in the most serious, like, RRR, the movie, is the most like action movie ever. And bros just like start singing out of nowhere. I fucking love it. It's crazy. Another really good Indian movie that I loved is called like The Three Idiots. Like, that was like a life-changing movie. I love that. That was like one of my favorite movies. What else have I watched? God, I've watched like a bunch of Indian movies, but now like I'm on the spot. I can't think of any. I've watched a bunch of Bollywood movies and Indian movies. So yeah, I'll check this movie out. I can't promise you I'll watch it. I have a long list of like literally hundreds of movies. And as I'm looking this movie up, this is another thing lots of Indian movies do. This movie's 3 hours and 6 minutes long. Lots of Indian movies are like big fucking magical, epic, like massive movies. Like, I will say India loves to go big, especially with their romances. My God, like, same as their Bollywood, like soap operas and stuff like that, like TV shows. India just like goes hard. Like, India's fucking crazy with their movie industry and their TV industry. Like, think of the craziest, over the top, wildest American movie you've ever seen in your entire life. Like, literally think of one like Ben-Hur or Gladiator or, God, what's another one? Any of those like massive, massive, massive movies. That's just like your average fucking like Indian movie. Bro, you say RRR is too popular, haven't watched it, you'll like it. Like, honestly, I think you'd like RRR. It's over the top Bollywood, like, at its best. You're going to see You Love Three Idiots. Yeah, that was a really heartfelt movie. Three Idiots is like, I won't say it's over the top, although it is way more over the top than your average like Western movie. But it's like got a lot of heart. It's a very genuinely sweet, loving movie. And it really surprised me, especially with the title Three Idiots, and it's a comedy. But it's like 3 hours long. Yeah, it is. Three Idiots is another 3 hour long movie. Bollywood just loves to fucking go for hours, bro. Bollywood is crazy. You go on to say, I need to get invited to an Indian wedding someday. They save their entire life for them, and then they're insane. Yeah, there's a bunch of countries that go hard. I've heard Mexico is a little bit like that. Um, yeah, yeah. Like, I'd love to go to a Bollywood. I'd love to go to an Indian wedding at some point, especially the stuff they wear. They go hard. There's this Indian dude who works at my local 7-Eleven, and I talk to him a lot and talk to his wife. Like, he and his wife run it. And he was telling me about, like, one of his kids is getting married and shit. And I was like, how many people are going? And he's like, I don't know, like maybe 1,000 or 30. And I was like, what the fuck? 1,000 people going to your wedding. I was like, but do you know all of them? And he's like, yeah. Yeah. Like, some of them I don't know, like, super well. But, like, yeah. And it's, like, friends and family and shit. And I was like, what the fuck, bro? Like, bro, like, I don't know 1,000 people in my YouTube audience. Like, and you just have 1,000 people going to your fucking wedding, bro. Like, yeah, it's crazy. So, anyway, Rishav, I will add the movie to my potential list of movies to watch. I cannot promise that I'll actually watch it because I got like 100 movies and video games and things that I probably won't get around to watching them all before I die, but I will put that on my list. I appreciate the recommendation. That goes for all the rest of you. Like, lots of you recommend me stuff all the time, which I really appreciate. It's really cool of you. But I get so many recommendations, as I'm sure you can imagine. Like, when you have a YouTube channel, like, and you have a decent audience, like, lots of people are passionate about stuff that they watch. I am too. I like to share the stuff that I enjoy. So you get a lot of it. So I try not to promise anyone that I'll watch something, but I will definitely, or I have already added it to my list. So thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Dr. Chad says 98% of all sports movies are self-improvement movies. That's a good fucking point, brother. Yeah, while we're hunting for self-improvement movies, why not just go to sports movie? Yeah, bro, no, good point. That's a really good point, dude. Like, that TV show Friday Night Lights is about this. Ted Lasso, any of you that have seen Ted Lasso, that's my recommendation of TV shows about sports, but self-improvement. That show talks a lot about honesty, self-improvement, mental health for sure. Like, literally, there's an entire season about mental health and happiness and peace and all of that. Yeah, good shout, bro. That's a good shout out, yeah. I don't know if any of you watched it. It's a tennis movie, King Richard with Will Smith. Highly recommend that for the same reason. It's about Serena and Venus Williams, like two of the best tennis players of all time, but definitely the best two female players of all time. And like, they're crazy good, the two of them. And this movie's a little bit about them, but it's more about their father, Richard Williams, like, and how fucking just over the top dedicated he was to like this mission of like, I want to raise two women that will be all of his children are successful, but he's like, I want all my kids to be successful, and I especially want my the two best at tennis. I'm going to train them on tennis from a very early age. I want them to be the best in the entire world, and I want them to be an inspiration for women, an inspiration for anyone black, an inspiration for anyone who grew up super poor because he grew up in the ghetto and, you know, crime and all of that. He's like, literally, I want these kids to have a better life than I got to have, and me and the wife are going to like train them and teach them. And yeah, he succeeded. He fucking succeeded. They are like, and they did the work too, let's be clear. And his wife did a hell of a lot. But he was the one who had a plan. And he had this like 56-page plan that he wrote when the kids were like 5 years old, which is like crazy to think about. And most of it came true. Like, he just had this plan for his life, the kids' life, the family life, and most of it came true. So it's a pretty cool story. Now, he is a controversial figure in tennis, if you know him. And the movie doesn't shy away from that. He was very hard on his kids, but at the same time, it's very fucking clear they loved him. And if you listen to interviews from Venus and Serena, the two tennis players, and the rest of the kids, they love their father to bits. They will be the first person to say he wasn't perfect. He was hard on us at times. But like, this life we have is because of him, and we fucking love him. So that's a really cool, interesting movie that has a lot of nuance and all of that in it. I loved that movie. That was like amazing. Expert Sheet Clapper says, isn't Yes Man the movie where Jim Carrey gets sucked off by a granny? Yes, and he fucking loved it. And that's part of the movie. It's literally about what happens if you just say yes to everything. What happens if you let go of your preconceived notions? And so, yeah, some granny's like, she starts hitting on him. And she basically is like, I could give you an amazing... She basically says, I could suck your dick like a vacuum. And he wants to say no. And he's just like, okay. And she gives him the best blowjob of his entire life. And he's like, holy shit, okay. Like, if some old lady, she's like really old too. If some old lady can give me the best blowjob of my life, okay, maybe I'm just going to go say yes to everything. Yeah. Cola, you say easier said than done. I'm assuming you're referring to like achieving goals and stuff like that. You have African parents who don't make it easy. I think me and your girlfriend have similar stories. Yeah, I tell you who does have a similar story to you. My best friend, Jimmy. He is Nigerian. I mean, technically he's Australian, but his parents are Nigerian. They were very hard on him. They live here in Australia now, but they're very conservative. He doesn't really talk to them about sex or dating. They keep saying, like, when are you going to let us set you up with a nice Nigerian wife? And he's just like, no, thank you, I'm fine. And like, he's told me many times, I don't, like, nothing against Nigerian women, but like, that feels like extremely limiting my dating pool. Also, there aren't that many Nigerian women in Australia. So now I have a really small fucking dating pool when I could just date literally anyone else in the entire fucking world. And so, as he's phrased it, if I meet a Nigerian woman and we hit it off and we love each other and we build something, then fucking great. But like, that's like such a small part of the world. Anyway, long conversation. Yeah, and so he just doesn't share his goals with them. Like you say right now, African parents don't make it easy. And I get that. I empathize. Believe me, I do. But at some point, you'll realize, wait, I'm an adult. I'm a man. My parents don't have to affect me. And that can be, as you said, easier said than done. So believe me, I get all of it. But at some point, you'll step up and you'll go, and maybe you're already doing this, brother. You probably already are. No, I'm my own man. I'm going to live my life instead of the life that others wish for me. And if you have African parents, yeah, I know they can be very conservative, especially if they're like Catholic. I think most of, at least Nigeria, I think most of them are Catholic, if I remember correctly. And so you pair those two things, culturally conservative and religiously conservative, then yes, I understand all that pressure. I get it. Like, brother, believe me, I get it. But the number one regret that people have when they get to the end of their life is, I wish I had lived a life more true to myself instead of the life that others wished for me. So keep working towards that. I promise you're being brave if you're listening to your own integrity and what you want. I know that sometimes that can feel like a bit of a struggle, man. Like, I get it. Yeah, you're going to say you're Nigerian. So I was correct, right, that Nigerians are Catholic. Chad, you say Nigerians are often Pentecostal. Yeah, but I have a feeling, I mean, Coley, you can just tell us. I have a feeling that most of them are like Catholic. Is that right? Like 98% or some shit? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong. Oh, Catholic's only 15%. Maybe I'm wrong. I am wrong. You might be right then, Mr. Chad. 50% of Nigeria is Muslim, 40% are Christian, 10% are indigenous religion. Cool. So I was wrong. Isn't that funny? How many times are we all wrong? How many times are we convinced that we're right about something and then we're just like literally fucking the opposite? But yeah, Cola, point is, yeah, Chad, you went on to say a lot of them are Muslim. Yeah, Cola, point is, like, religious parents, conservative parents. I'm just assuming your parents are fucking religious, like most people in Nigeria are. You're going to say, like, I live at home. I can't afford to move out as rent is super expensive. Yeah, and there's options, man, and you're working towards that. Something that can help, dude. Like, a lot of people in, I don't know if you'd call Nigeria a third world country. Probably not, but, like, I know there's lots of crime and corruption and stuff like that and poverty. But people who are in a country where maybe they don't have a lot of money and they can't see a lot of opportunities to make a lot of money. Like, maybe you don't get paid for lots of the jobs that you work in your country. Maybe there just isn't a lot of money floating around. Fair enough, right? We often forget, like we often miss, that there's an entire international fucking world that you have access to at your fingertips. And so, like, I'm not even joking, brother. Go on Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com, and just start looking for opportunities. There's like a billion things you can do on there. Imogen has sold her art through Fiverr. I have sold some photography and Photoshop stuff through Fiverr, like my services. I know a bunch of guys that do like video editing. I hire a few video editors from the Philippines, where most people there don't make much money. They make like $1 an hour. And then I pay them $10 an hour. And they're like, holy fuck, I'm rich. And there are lots of people in lots of different countries where there aren't any opportunities, or it doesn't feel like there's a lot of opportunities like where they are to make a lot of money. But you go on the internet, train yourself a little bit. Like, you could teach yourself video editing in 1 or 2 months, and you could be more than good enough to charge $5 an hour or $10 an hour, like US dollars. And then as you start to improve at that, there are premium versions of Fiverr where you start charging more. And so you can get to a point where you charge $100 an hour for video editing if you do an amazing job. And it doesn't take you that much. Just train yourself for like a couple of months. Or teach yourself Photoshop and get really good at that and sell that. Teach yourself writing. You're clearly very eloquent and intelligent. Learn copywriting, where you just write stuff for blogs or social media posts. Learn how to run someone's social media. And you don't have to be good at that. You start super low. Oh, okay, bro. So you go on to be clear. Okay, good. Fine. But this point still stands. You are in the UK. You know there's opportunities. But for anyone else listening who's in a country where there aren't many opportunities, go online and train yourself on something, and train yourself on fucking anything. Anything. Video editing, Photoshop. Like all of these entry-level things that anyone can do. Like anyone can do it. You don't even need to pay money to be a video editor. Use DaVinci Resolve, which is the editing I use. It's free. It's a free program. And so find ways to make money. There are ways out of situations. I say all of this because we've had some coaching clients come to the coaching group and they literally live in a third world country. And you might say, like, then how the fuck can they afford to pay you 11,000 US dollars? Because they hustle and grind on like Fiverr, and there's another one called People Per Hour. If you're in the Philippines, there's one called onlinejobs.ph. There's all these different websites where I hire people like from those places and pay them. And plenty of my friends pay those people. You can be one of those people who gets paid like 10 times what everyone else around you is getting for like less effort. Like it's not that hard to do video editing. It's pretty fun. It's pretty chill. You know, it's definitely not hard to do Photoshop and all of that. Photoshop and creative writing and copywriting and all of that. So yeah. All right, let's keep reading. I think we're starting to answer all the questions. Yeah, we are. We got through most of them. If there's any questions that any of you feel like I didn't answer. Okay, why? I didn't answer this question of yours, I can see. Where is it now? I've lost it. Have you ever had a client who had a goal of looking for a cuck queen? If so, what actions were they taking? So when you're, let's define terms, because some people will be like, what in the shit is that? So a cuck queen is a woman who likes to get cucked. So a woman who enjoys watching her man sleep with other women. Imogen has a big fantasy of that. That's like one of the things that turns Imi on the most. She's expressed fantasies that we haven't tried yet, and I can't promise that we ever will, but she's told me this fantasy. I think we would need to talk through it a lot more and discuss it a lot more and make sure she's comfortable. But one of her biggest fantasies is for me to, so right now, for full context, when we sleep with other women together, we do it together and we both talk about it. Like, yes, we're going to meet this girl. We look through the profile together. Sometimes we message her together. We go on the first date together. Then the second date is when we have sex. And then we have sex. Like, it's all done together. And she said, if you want to go and sleep with other women, just talk to me about it first. And we'll talk through things and blah, blah, blah. Because that's how our relationship started. I just slept with other women without her. Sometimes with her, sometimes without. But now we're at a point for the last, like, 4 years. We've always done it together. So she said, if you want to do it separately, talk to me about it. And we can talk through some things and some fears I might have and jealousy and insecurity and all of that. And we'll figure it out. And I've said to her multiple times, maybe one day in the future, but for now I'm fine. Like, don't stress. Don't even think about that. It's not something that's on my radar. I like doing it with you. But we can think about that in the future. But one of her biggest fantasies is for me to sleep with some other woman and send her a video or a picture of it. I don't think she's comfortable with that right now. And she's made that pretty clear. I think that I don't know how I'd feel about knowing that you've gone off and slept with someone else without talking to me about it, even though it's a fantasy. And so this is kind of a conversation. Sometimes we have sexual fantasies, but we're not yet ready, or maybe never will be ready for it to happen for real. And so that's one of hers. She has a big fantasy of being cucked by me, so to speak. Like, my man is out there fucking some other woman and all of that. And along with that, a fantasy of me, like, you know, this is very specific, but like coming inside that woman. I've had a vasectomy so she wouldn't get pregnant. And obviously I would need to do STD checks and make sure I'm clean and she's clean and all of that, blah, blah, blah. But that's a fantasy of hers. Like, to find out that I came inside some other woman without telling her and then I sent her the pictures. Probably not going to do that anytime soon, but that's a big fantasy of hers. So this fantasy is a lot more common than you think. A lot of guys are into this fantasy. Like, there's a lot of cucks out there, but that is a word that has a lot of fucking judgment. And so a lot of guys that are into that stuff would not admit that. The people that do, that's pretty fucking brave in the current day and age. But yes, I have had clients who, I won't say it was their main goal, but it's something that really turns them on and they're looking for. They're basically looking for a woman that is completely comfortable with them sleeping with other women and would be turned on by that. There are lots of women like that. There are lots of guys that want that. Caleb Jones, a guy that I've mentioned quite a lot and helped me quite a lot and mentored me quite a lot. I've done an interview with him, a couple of interviews on my channel. His wife will sometimes watch him sleep with other women and she'll get very turned on by that. Emmy already, if we're sleeping with a girl together, loves watching me fuck the other girl. Like, it's one of her biggest turn-ons. She'll play with a vibrator, she'll sit there and watch, and she'll just get herself off watching me go crazy on another woman. So it's a lot more common than you might think. Like, a lot of people get very turned on by watching their partner sleep with someone else. It's just something that doesn't always get brought up because there's jealousy, there's insecurity. A lot of people will judge that, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, brother, there's lots of people. Again, to answer your question specifically, I have had some people come to the group, yes, and say, I want a woman that would get turned on watching me sleep with other women and would be completely happy for me to go out there and sleep with other people. Yes, I've had lots of clients like that. So to answer your question, yes, I have. If so, what action were they taking? Just being honest about it. Like you don't need to do any specific action other than just say what you want. Like, why do you need to do an action? Like, and that's not criticizing your question, but like a lot of the time I'll go, what action do I take? You just say what you want and then you go find the people that want the same thing. Like, that's it. It really isn't any more complicated than that, I promise. You just, to every woman that you're dating or every woman that you're about to go on a date with, you'd be like, hey, what's on your sexual bucket list, by the way? And then she'll tell you. And then you say, here's one that's on my bucket list. Would this turn you on? And if she says no, like, that would never turn me on, I never want to do that, you can still date her and sleep with her and all that if you want to. But maybe your time would, if this is important to you, your time might be a little bit better spent going, okay, I just won't go on a date with her. Like, so have this conversation before you meet up if you want to. Then you'll save each other the most amount of time. You won't waste any time. Not that it would be a wasted time if you went on a date. You still get to socialize. You get to have a nice time. Get to talk to another human being and connect a little bit. But yeah, it's just screening, man. Like, all of you are allowed to have literally any kinks or relationship dynamics or fantasies or whatever you want. You're allowed to have it. It's just that a lot of people won't be into it. Like, I'll be very clear with you. Lots of people are not going to be into this. Lots of women are going to be like, hell no. The vast majority of people are monogamous and want to be that. And so most people that you ask this will be like, no, I don't want that. And so your only mission is to just get through those no's as quickly as you can. That's why I say be honest and upfront. Say it ideally on the dating app, like in your profile or something, or just in your first couple of messages. If you're too nervous to do that, that's okay. Say it before you meet up. Like, you get her phone number and then you text her a little bit and then say it. If you're too nervous to do that, that's okay. Do it on the first date. But I would be doing it as soon as possible. If this is something that's really important to you, like a deal breaker for you, I think it's a kind thing to do for you and for the other person to say your deal breakers at least on the first date, like at the latest on the first date, like at the very latest. But I get that that can be intimidating. That can be something you're afraid of. Like, you might be like, how the fuck do I bring up? How do I be honest that this is something that I'm looking for? You do it in a clumsy way. You'll probably suck at it. You give yourself permission to suck at saying it. You're allowed to say it in an awkward, weird way. It's okay if you're weird about it. It's okay if she thinks you're weird and a pervert or gross or whatever. All of that's okay. And you just slowly improve at being able to have these conversations. But if you were to ask me, Andy, if this was a deal breaker for you and you cared about finding a cut queen or someone that was into this, how would you do it? I would literally just, it would be in my first message. Like, literally my first message on dating apps is already very specific. I say, hey, you're sexy. I'm Andy. I'm looking for something specific on here. My girlfriend and I, Emmy, are in an open relationship. We sleep with women. We date and sleep with women together in threesomes. We explore kink and BDSM, and we like mentoring them in and out of the bedroom and helping them be, happier, healthier people. Is all of that something you're interested in, or is it something you'd like to explore? And then they say yes or no. And so you could just do the same thing. Hey, you're really sexy, or you're really pretty, or you're cute, or whatever. I'm whatever your name is. Why? I'm looking for something specific on here. I'm really into the idea of a woman that would be into like open relationships and dating and seeing other people and would find it a really big turn on or something she'd love to do. watching me sleep with other people, and she'd really enjoy that. Is that something you've ever thought about, or is that something you'd be open to exploring and grabbing a drink and getting to know each other and talking about? And then she'll say yes or no. She'll either go, that's fucked up and disgusting. I promise you she won't. But some women will, I will be clear. Maybe 1 in 100 women will say, that's disgusting. I get that when I say I'm in an open relationship and we're into BDSM and kink. They're like, BDSM is abuse and you're a bad person. And it's like, okay, fair enough. Unmatched. Like, that will happen sometimes. I'll be clear with you. If you're going to be this specific about something that some people will be judgmental about, and it's about their judgments, it's not about the thing itself being wrong or bad, some people might have that reaction. But that's going to be like 1 in 100, I promise. A lot of people will say, thank you for asking that. No, that isn't something that I'm into, but I appreciate you being upfront. I hope you find what you're looking for. And then you reply to them and say, beautiful. I hope you find what you're looking for. Thank you for being so kind and nice, and I really hope you have a beautiful day. And then she'll be like, wow, thank you. And then she unmatches you. Some people will be like, to be honest, that's not something I've ever thought about. And then it's up to you what you do with that. You could either say, are you open to trying it, I guess? And maybe she'll say maybe, or yes, or no. And then you'll have an answer. Or you can say, well, if it's something that you've never even thought about, and then I say to you, would you like to think about it? And she still doesn't really care either way. Yeah, it's obviously just not that important to her. She doesn't really have an opinion, but it is important to me. So I'll say no to her and I'll go find the person who's enthusiastic. And then there will be a subsection of women that you'll say this to. Like, is this something you'd like to try? Is this something you're open to? Is this something you've ever thought about? You'll say that. And there will be a group of women who'll go, okay, like, I got to be real with you. That's fucking hot. Like, you'll get some women like that. Or maybe they'll phrase it a little bit more politely than that. But the answer that I get all the time on dating apps when I talk about BDSM and threesomes and kink and all of that, the answer I get is like, to be honest, I've thought about that a lot. I've always wanted to try that. I just didn't know who to try that with. And then you're like, do you want to grab a coffee and talk a little bit and get to know each other and see if we like each other and all of that? And they'll be like, yeah, I'd like that a lot. And then you meet, you see if you like each other. You proceed exactly how you normally would in dating. Go through all the same stuff. You're going to date. You're going to go on some dates, talk, open up, be vulnerable, have fun, enjoy yourself. Eventually you'll have sex, either on the first date or the second or the third, whenever you both want to. And then after that point, then you start exploring it a bit more and be like, hey, like this is something that I really want to try. That's literally why I'm meeting you. Do you want to do this with me? And she'll be like, yeah, I'm nervous, but like, yeah, I kind of want to watch you fuck someone else. Yeah, let's do it. And then you just explore that. So it's not this big weird thing, I promise. It's just like anything, like any of the goals that any of you have, especially in sex and dating and relationships, like whatever dynamic you want, whatever kinks or weird fetishes or cool stuff you want to try, you're allowed to have it. You just got to tell people up front that that's what you want. You got to screen out the people who don't want it or who judge it, because there will be some of those people. And then you go hunting for the people who also want it as much as you, but just had no fucking idea where to find it. And I'm telling you, there are lots of women out there that want this fetish. This is a big fetish. Lots of women have this. This is a very common one. This is not uncommon. Like, there's been studies done on sexuality and threesomes, like not just threesomes, but like sex involving more than two people is like the most common sexual fantasy. And people have different variations of what they're turned on by in that dynamic. But yes, having sex with more than one person is the biggest fantasy that anyone has. The other ones are things like sex in public, cheating is a big one, non-consensual stuff like force or rape or any of that. That's like bondage, stuff like that. Anyway, you can go research studies on this, but I promise this is a lot more common than you think. And your only mission is to bring it up to lots of people, like on dating apps or whatever, and then just see which ones want the same as you. You'll never know until you ask people. People aren't going to walk around with a big sign on their forehead saying, I'm into this kink or this fetish or this dynamic, or I want to be like this. Most people won't advertise that because they're afraid of being judged, because people will judge them for it. So it's up to you to say, to be brave and say, this is what I would like to explore. Is this something you'd like to explore? And no hard feelings if you don't. That's beautiful. I love that you know what you want and what you don't want. But if you do want to explore this, let's do it together. And Kohler goes on to say, 100% not every sexual fantasy needs to be fulfilled. Yeah, I think that's like a statement that goes without saying. But all of this is like, I guess, assuming this particular fantasy is something that you really care about, or like a dynamic that you really want. Like some of you are very certain that you're like, I only want an open relationship. Like, I'm not interested in monogamy. That's me. Like, that's 100% me. It's always been me. Not always, but like, I guess always, but it's something I'm more clear about for the last like 10 years. I made that clear to Emmy. I make that clear to every woman that we date. And if you're similar, maybe you're the opposite and you only want monogamy and you're like, I only want monogamy, then just make that clear to people, because there will be lots of people, particularly in today's day and age, particularly in Western countries, that are sleeping with multiple people or want to or have thought about it. Like that's really common. And so if you want monogamy and that's what you want, just be honest about that. It doesn't have to be a big conversation, but you just be like, hey, monogamy is important to me. Like, how do you feel about it? Like, do you want to sleep with other people? Do you want monogamy? Like, what do you want? And you say that in a non-judgmental, open way, and you see what their response is, and then you find the people that want the same thing as you. Good thing with monogamy is that's most people, so it's pretty easy to find. But I would still recommend, even with monogamy, you just fucking be honest and say, like, this is what I want. So then you're sure. Like, a lot of people in relationships or building towards a relationship just assume by default that there will be a de facto standard of monogamy, but they never talk. Like, they never sit down and be like, hey, so how do we feel about like monogamy? How do we feel about cheating? Like, what does cheating even mean? Is it cheating to text some girl that you like, but you never do anything with her? Is it cheating if you kiss someone drunkenly at a club when you're wasted? How do we feel about like you having female friends that you let crash over at your house if they drank too much? Like most people don't talk about this shit. So I would encourage all of you, whether you want monogamy, open, whatever you want, to just like talk to anyone that you're dating. Like, especially if you're going to build a relationship at that point, definitely fucking talk. Like, lay down the expectations of what you both want, see if you're compatible, if you're going to fit together, all of that. But yeah, most people don't have those conversations. And then that's why there's arguments and fights in relationships, because they're like, we never talked about it. And then you did something that I'm not okay with you doing, but I never explicitly told you I wasn't okay with that. And like, you just didn't know. You assumed I'd be fine with it, and I wasn't. So yeah. I tell you what, let's start finishing up. I'm a tired boy. It's been 2.5 hours. I can feel my brain starting to die and my answers becoming less where I would like them to be. So I appreciate all of you. I think this was the longest live stream we ever did, maybe. It was pretty good. We set records. I appreciate all of you being here. Tomorrow, come bring any more questions that you got. We'll hang out, share some wins, go out there, take action, all that good, beautiful shit. I will run a little outro. But before I run the outro, which video do I want to run as the outro? What do we care about? Do we care about sex today? Do we care about a bit of everything? Do we care about happiness? Do we care about business? Do we care about losing virginity? I tell you what, let's do a little mix of everything. All right. Goodbye to all of you. Neon Cat. Well, I don't have a video. I can't play Neon Cat for you. I'm sorry. I can't play that as the outro. Sex. You care about sex? All right, you want a sex one. Let me put a little sex coaching pitch. You can see. Oh, yeah, I talk about, in this little outro video, I talk about Renee, who had a threesome in his second week, which is like, do not compare yourself to that. Like, so many of you will hear that and be like, what the fuck? This guy had a threesome in his second week of coaching and he had sex with like 10 women. Use that as inspiration, but I'll play the little outro video. He was a blast to work with. I liked him. He was German, and Germans are my favorite to work with because you just tell them to do something and they go and do it. And you're like, great, it's easy to work with you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, goodbye. Love to all of you. See you tomorrow. If you've been wanting an amazing, awesome, elite sex life, tons of threesomes, plenty of wild adventures, and great memories with awesome people, we would love to help you get there. Here's just a little bit of what our coaching clients have achieved in their time in the program. Renee had a threesome in just his second week of coaching. Had a woman write him a love letter, and he went on to have sex with 12 women in just 12 weeks of coaching. Corky had his first threesome, slept with 7 amazing women, and made a ton of awesome memories with them. George and Power both had sex with 10 women each in their 12 weeks, had a bunch of wild adventures along the way. Join me and join them by clicking the coaching link in the description below.